On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, we bring you Thanksgiving tidings and Black Friday deals? And most importantly, the thing you're all been waiting for, the Lostbelt 5 Pre-game is happening right now, because Albert made me do it.
God damn it, Albert.
Also,
clairvoyance means nothing.
Not right now, in like 30 minutes to an hour, right now. Okay, an hour and a half.
What is time?
It's after mailbag, sometime. Anyway, hello, hi, we are your hosts. I am Omega, the Ready Whip. Wha-cha! And with me, as always, good gravy, it's Lucky.
Hey, everybody. Hope you're enjoying Fate Grand Order, a.k.a. the best historical inaccuracies. And while we here at City Omega like to bring the latest FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events, both the JP and AN version of the game, so anyone not wanting spoilers should hide, because Paldaru is upon us.
Yes, there was a great Paduru explosion at midnight. Also, I will now proceed to lose all of that amount of energy and no longer peak throughout the rest of this episode. What? The intros are always super loud to make sure you're awake, and then I just settle it down. Put it down here.
Bring it down.
But yes, before we go anywhere, let us remind you really quick, this episode is brought to you by our patrons like Adam DeHar, Paco Comics, America 10, Bugsno G, Carlos Dragon, Ferris, Jeremy Vasquez, Jonathan Sandoval, Legendary Boss Under Liam Kessler, Regent Raptor, Rogue Robin, Sharvor, Shiny P, some guy named Bob Stewart 23, and Varen the Crow. If you like what we do, must do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. Get access to episodes early and more, and we thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Alright. Cut off there, but we're going.
We are going.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm slightly distracted because I was like,
There you go.
I was trying to open a can.
Yeah, I heard it. You got it there. Took you a second, though.
Yeah.
It's okay, it happens.
Listen, I'm gonna start recording my Final Fantasy XIV playthrough, so everyone, and then I'm just gonna make a fucking sizzle reel, me screaming at everything. People will love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a type of video, yeah. Okay. But this is Let's Talk FGO. This is gonna be a big, full episode for you. I can go ahead and announce that we, by executive decision, we've decided to delay Teach Me.
Listen, we were bamboozled a little here.
Yeah, we were expecting a possible, like, Christmas lotto pregame, maybe, if we went full out. But there was some stuff in the panel and in the follow-up videos. We'll talk about it in the news in just a second. So I was, hammering away at, updates to JP stuff, because JP's still ongoing. That bamboozled us a little, too. There were a lot of questions in the air, which we'll get to when we get to news. But then there was a whole panel which had a whole slew of news, and then that required pregame work, because we are moving very rapidly to a Lostbelt 5 Part 1 release. Like, not quite holy shit fast, like, drops tonight after this panel kind of thing, but, like, it's a little close to that. We're in the speed zone right now, so had to do some jogglings and some stuff. Since my notes for Fanservant Friday are done well ahead of time, I actually need to, like, not anytime in the next couple of weeks, I'll talk more about that in a second, but I need to actually take out some time and blog out writing up some new profiles and stats and doing some research for that, so I can have fresh new ideas and stop recycling the same, like, 12 people over and over. Don't worry, I got them. I just need to actually find the time to do the work. But that's already pre-done, so I did that, and I hammered out the Lostbelt 5 pregame notes, and then I was, like, talking to Lucky, and I was, talking about where I was at my notes, and he was like, alright, I'll be home in, like, an hour, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go eat now, and then I'm gonna see about hammering out the Teach Me notes, and he was like, we didn't know about the pregame, maybe we can rotate it, and I'm like, okay, we can do that. Because, God knows if they'd be done by now. That was, what, like, an hour and a half ago? 2 hours ago you said that?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna say again. So to remind everyone, the winner was the Alzaki sisters, and it's not complex, but there's a lot of little detail in there, and I know Omega likes to do his research, so he'd be in that hole for a little bit.
Yes, it would have been even if it was my joke was gonna be, it would be Teach Me, Omega, and Lucky Sensei, like, because we'd have more back and forth. We would still, I'd have to, like, actually run down all the notes to do a thorough job, and, don't know if there was going to be enough time for that. I'd like to get this show... I'm not averse to it being lengthy, of course. We like longer shows. You guys seem to watch those more. By the way, if you have maybe not watched the past couple weeks' episodes, which I know some people have not, do me a solid and go back and hit those up, Just give me a little... the Guda one, the brand new news is still, like, under 1K views. What the hell, guys? Come on. Also, make sure to like the video and, like, maybe leave a comment or something so YouTube understands you like this video and you want to see more like it, maybe?
Maybe.
I don't know. Just a thought. But with that out of the way, let's start barreling through our barrels of news here, and let's check out everybody's favorite Kohai Mesh really quick.
Senpai! 起きてください!
That's right, everybody. It's time for Wake the Fuck Up Senpai, our regular segment for pro tips. So, this one's kind of general, but I think it is important. If you're focused on some of that meta stuff, I would like to let everybody know now that no matter exactly what happens, we have our predictions, obviously, but it looks like Super Orion is coming earlier than expected, moving ahead of even Saber Astolfo's banner here. So, if you are interested in that thing, you better be ready to bust out your wallet a little bit early. If you're saving plans for maybe for later in the month, double check where your paycheck's at. Maybe don't splurge as much on Cyber Monday, whatever floats your boat. So, just, a heads up that we have shuffled some things around slightly. Also, this is not really a pro tip, but just a general alert. If you are curious about Wanted and want to go for that, as many people swear by its catalysative properties, due to some time crunch and the fact that it's a double SSR launch, which we'll discuss in a little bit when I do the pregame, I'll be leading with Super Orion to hopefully go live that maintenance evening. That means I'll have to bang that out really quick over like Monday and Tuesday. And then we'll do Europa a little bit later, because that's the second banner, or that's the first banner, but the second banner is all repeats, and she is a permanent, so it's not in a rush. I understand, obviously, some of you will want to, still roll for Hot Grandma, but, it just makes more sense to try and smash out there with Super Orion, since it's a very big deal, and that's where all the SEO will be, and then I'll still get you your Europa. It'll just be a little bit later. As always, FGO likes to make my job really busy at certain points, so we'll do that chaotic little dance. And move on with that. But that's our pro tips for this week.
That's all.
No records, no evil. It was a celebration week.
I've been punching hands mostly.
Yeah. Same. I did, farming. I did some treasure vaults for some stuff that's in our list. And, just casually working on some level ups and doing other big grindy stuff.
Yeah, I threw a 10 spin and 10 tickets for Moriarty, and I got, Bum Kiss. But, that's par for the course, so...
Tonight is going to be this cock rate up. I think I will throw the 2 tickets I own. Actually, no, I think I'll get a third ticket tonight, too. I'll throw all 3 tickets I own at Skahak and see what happens, and then I'm good. Even though FGO's generosity has put me back over 100 Saint Corns, I'm cool. I'm good for now. So, let us check in with, did you finish your master missions? Moving swiftly on. And I know last week, Lucky talked to me a little bit about maybe making this segment a little more complex and offer some advice. And then FGO handed us another week of softballs, so I'll list them out. You will probably get these done while doing your limited time master missions for the Thanksgiving event, which we will discuss later anyway, because they are but simple this week. You need to complete 10 quests, acquire any 4 skill gems or statues, defeat 20 enemies who are not servants or bosses, and defeat 40 enemies who are not servants or bosses, and then specifically acquire 15 EXP drops of any size and 30 EXP drops of any size. So if you do hands good enough, you will get all but one of these, and then if you just take a detour to either, materials dailies, or again, probably while doing your other limited time master missions, you will clean these up easily while going for the bigger fish. So it's a very dirt simple one. We will see, especially since they're transposing events, we will see if upcoming master missions are more complex. But now it's time to jump into the news, and we have a slobber knocker for you guys.
Oh, God.
FGO just crushing it on all fronts. So first of all, this technically happened first. In JP, there was Guda Close Call Summon Banner number 2.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Yeah. We said last week that we did not know if there would be a banner part 2. It was a question mark. But no, they did go for it. From the 22nd of November to the 6th of December. So, this is a banner with the brand new SSR Lancer version of Ryoma, and he is in a rotation with Mao, Summer Okita, and then Izo and Mori again.
Yeah, no, we've always talked about how Lancer Ryoma could definitely be a thing, with his anecdote about the spear, and lo and behold, they actually pulled it off.
Yep. And we'll be talking about new servant needs at the end as well.
Yep.
Yeah, so this was a fightable enemy in Guda Close Call in the first week, so people were like, oh, that's probable. But I was still like, I don't know. Especially as it was clarified on Twitter by the devs that all the other cool dudes who appear in the Guda event are NPCs. They are not intended to be playable at this time. Not that means anything.
That did cause that did cause a fair amount of consternation, especially on Twitter, and unfortunately, I can say it's actually kind of understandable.
Yeah. There's a couple of understandable aspects to that for sure.
Mm-hmm. It's like I can understand it, but what can you do?
Yeah, there are several designs. I do think they're actually... Was it a CE, or was it a design that was actually by Clamp? Clamp was working on something.
The dude.
Yeah,
actually,
the dude we called was a different person. We got a correction on that in the comments last week. I feel
Yes.
like there was a Clamp art somewhere, but that might have been something else. I'd have to double check our spoiler channel and scroll up through lots of other bullshit. But there are a few of these designs. Some people have commented, and as we do, about the ever-growing Guda backlog. This is like 3 or 4 more new designs that are not playable, which is, just further digging that hole. And also, some people are bringing up the fact that while character-wise, FGO is usually fairly even, there have been a relatively few number of males this year. Obviously, the inclusion of the new SSR Ryoma, who's still the headliner, though obviously he's with Oreo as well.
I mean, they were complaining about it, and then, Banner 2 hit, and people, a lot of, not everyone, but a lot of people got real quiet real fast.
Yeah, because it did hit with a new SSR who is male-focused, He gets the nameplate anyway. But yeah, there's definitely been a little bit of a leanness, but also there has been a slight leanness in new characters, period. Like, we total it up, and there have actually been slightly fewer SSRs this year than typical. Because their content's a little stretched out. And, I mean, Oberon exists, Pretenders are out. He got to headline a whole new class, of which still no more new one yet. Still wondering.
I don't think we haven't had a lot of males, but I think the ones. Well, I'm sorry, Percival. I don't think you remember that, but we've had a couple big swingers come out. I'll say,
and Percival's permanent, but also I know people are excited for him. But he takes the backseat because he is, I believe, a permanent unit, and a lot of people are more concerned about those story locked and limited females on that list. Now, if Percival was a limited male, people would probably be more agitated. But it's like the moment it comes out that you're permanent, people just go, whew, thank God. Spookers.
Safe.
Like, that argument still happens in our Discord when people are talking about next year, and they're talking about Vishra, and they're like, I mean, I'd like to get her good, but she is, they have that same conversation. Well, she's permanent, so is it a huge concern, Do I have to be worried about it, considering she's sandwiched between, Doman, Ibuki, and Muramasa? Yeah, it's a big question mark. But so that came up, and some people were discussing some things, but I feel like in general people are still positive.
Oh yeah, like people like new events, and like I said, from what I know about the new Lancer, well, I got excited because I was all like, yes, historical facts and inaccuracies, here we go.
Yeah.
I was excited about that, but like I said, everyone's I don't see anyone saying anything bad about the new guy, so hey.
Yeah. Also, because she's on the banner, we do have a new rank up for Mao. Her Demon King skill now generates 10% more NP on both ends, so that was like 10 to 20, it is now 20 to 30. And also added a whole new buff, 20 to 30% buster up for 3 turns on a burning type field. So just, rounding out the simplicity, making the package a little more complete on burning fields, etc. I already thought that after buffs, Mao was perfectly serviceable, but, I don't know. People are probably still like, not buster enough,
Oh, this is always the power crave thing. Everyone always wants their servants to do just a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more.
And I mean, I know that there are cases where you feel like underperforming, and I mean, Mao has a trait damage, so like that sometimes makes you less general. But still, it's a decent effect that flows into the kit already, so it seems pretty good. After this, we don't know what's up. There's a little bit of a concernicus because a lot of these are going to like the first week in December. Like, is Christmas going to be like a Lostbelt 6 story locked? Are they going to drop that bomb? Or is it going to be like they're going to go for like a Fuyuki Christmas and then, do a story locked event to the like back half of December? Because as we know, you can get like a full blown like 3 or more events in a December. Yeah, because it's like 1, 2, 3, 4 full weeks and then like a half week at the front. So you've got 5-ish weeks, 4.5 weeks of content to fill for December, and it looks like most of the like second half stuff's gonna run till the end of the first week anyway. Yeah, the 6th, but also they're not afraid to overlap some stuff, so we'll see what happens. It's kind of interesting about our own even flippy floppy element. It seems like Delightworks and their input from Aniplex is kind of. Moving towards maybe making it sync up a little more with Christmas directly. Which we should talk about, because I don't think we have much else to say about Guda Close Call other than neat.
Yep.
And obviously, if you're interested in details on the new Lancer Ryoma, we will be talking about that later after the mailbag break. Break, he says, like, it won't be a full-blown third of the show, if not a significant chunk on its own. So all the rest of our news is the NA variety, because we did have a panel. So all of the following stuff was announced at the Anime NYC panel, for which we got 10 sync courts for. The panel itself wasn't streamed, but there were video packages shown with some people who are going to be relevant later. Those were uploaded to YouTube right after the panel. I am going to assume that the reason why the panel wasn't streamed was because they had video clips of the JP talent, and as we know from certain other guests, sometimes people's agencies are a little careful about how they are displayed. Like, I believe there were several back in the day, before the dark times. There were several instances where panels very easily could have been streamed because certain guests were there, they were not. Rumi Okubo, for instance, would often have unstreamed panels when she was a guest, stuff like that. So I'm gonna guess that's why some people were a little agitated about 2021 no streamed panel, and I'm like, listen, we don't know what's up. They should probably be able to run a camera out there, but who knows? And if they didn't want to like reiterate themselves on the videos, that's probably why. But this had some stuff in there. Also, Albert was there in person talking about stuff, talked to the crowd, gave some stuff. Apparently, people, 2 years inside haven't done anything to stop hecklers. Apparently somebody shouted about the Samba Kets rerun in the crowd and was ignored. Good job, smartass. But, I know there have been some other questions. Some people have actually, sat down and talked to them while he was doing some stuff, got some photo ops. He talked about how he's the head of localization, I think, after the panel with some people who asked him some questions and a little bit of a sit-down, that he doesn't always have the most direct input on, how and when stuff happens, which kind of makes sense. He, like he said, he is technically he's not the head translator, he is head of the localization team. So I think somebody said it best on a Reddit thread about this. He is basically the captain of the ship. He steers some of the general direction where localizing is going. He probably suggests opportunities for Delightworks to code to, do special stuff for us like Thanksgiving, stuff like that. But he does not do a lot of the meat and potatoes work anymore. They have a squad of translators for all that stuff. But, still good to be out there. Hear from people. We'll hear again from them shortly. But we'll discuss that in a second, because first, we are in the middle of the Thanksgiving Special 2021 for NA. Log in for 3 days to get 3 Saint Courts. There are limited master missions for 10 more Saint Courts, a command code, and some CE XPs. So most of these are pretty simple. You have to complete 5 treasure vaults, for instance, and 5 Ember Gatherings. You need to get red, white, and blue items, stuff like that. There are also some specifics about Earth enemies, wild beasts, and what was it? Luck A+. That's what it's in my notes even. And for this, I put in my notes, I heard Orleans is good, but now I know, since I've completed those missions, since I wrote these notes. Orleans is good. I believe it's Jura Forest is the Shadow Martha one. That has werewolves and Martha, who has Luck A+ and is Earth. So there you go. That's 7 AP. That should wrap up those master missions pretty quick, along with doing some dailies.
Okay, cool.
So have fun with your extra Saint Courts, everybody. Yeah, it is Jura. During this time period until the 4th of December, we have half AP Embers and double Suck Chance. We got animation updates for Okita, Skahak, and Jack. And our summoning campaign is a daily rotation of Okita, Moriarty, Skahak, Sima Yi, Summer Nero, Jack, and Zhang Yu. A interesting mix of limited and permanent servants. There was also apparently a funny thing. Somebody captured an image on tweet. They got an ad for the FGO Thanksgiving event, and Moriarty wasn't in the splash in that version.
Surprise, old man.
That's a little funny. So if you were betting on Gil, that's out. But the other bet should win. It was Skahak. We have so many Skahak and Go rate-ups over here.
We do.
Hell, I think Thanksgiving was basically when because they did the million downloads thing. When they premiered her over here. Anyway, it's like I said, got an interesting selection. I know some people are interested in the Sima Yi rate up back. There's another chance for Summer Nero if you're going for that. All kinds of stuff. And, some permanents in there. Pretty typical. It's nice for us to get all this. Some of this stuff was cannibalized from New Year's, like the Master Missions and the Command Code. But it's all in all a decent experience to get some extra stuff. And, of course, the big one. Announced at the convention during the panel and on some later videos. Lostbelt 5 pre-release campaign, starting the 24th of November to the 8th of December. This was the big one, and this is why, because especially the Chaldea broadcasting was announced at the panel as well, which I will get into in the later bullet point. But a lot of people were like, oh man, does this mean Lostbelt 5 coming like early? Are we doing the switcheroo? And I was like, I genuinely don't know, everybody. You'll know if you see a pre-release. And then a couple of days ago, here was the pre-release. And it was like, okay, we're doing it. You know, it's that fucking Office meme. Oh my god, it's happening. Everybody just stay calm. Stay calm. Nobody was calm.
No one was.
And nobody was calm. So, log in for 7 days to get 7 gold apples during the pre-release campaign. If you complete Lostbelt 4 before the 8th, you get 10 Saint Quartz, so of course I got mine already. That means that all in all, with all this, you've got about another, if you do your bonus master missions, you logged in for the Anime NYC, and then you do this, you got at least one 10 spin in the bank. During this time, quarter AP on LB4 story specifically, and half AP on all Lostbelt free quests. And additionally, as I noted earlier, we will have Chaldea Broadcasting Station, Volume 14, English branch, on the 30th of November at 1800 PST for, specifically, they called it out, Lostbelt 5, Ancient Ocean of the Dreadnought Gods, Atlantis. If you don't already know how Atlantis works, take your fun speculating about that name now. This video, which again, don't know if it just says it's going to be a broadcasting release, I don't know if it'll be a premiere or a stream, but the video will drop. It will be hosted by Albert and Daichi Edamura as usual, and our guests will be Kenji Akabane, Kadax VA, and Chiaki Kobayashi, Black Bart's VA. Because he's in this event. Now, I noted that they've actually done the, coming soon Lostbelt Part 5, announcement on the main page. In this, it says specifically Lostbelt 5 will be in December, so I'm guessing it'll probably be 12/1 after maintenance. There will be the video premiere or stream or whatever for 30 minutes on the 30th. There'll be a 4-hour mate that night, and then even with daylight savings time, it will be December 1st before the Lostbelt actually starts. So enjoy that, folks. And if you are curious about the Nightingale Christmas, it was also announced at the panel, and is currently listed as coming soon, TM. So, yeah, that was a big move. We are full-blown transposing Lostbelt 5 and Christmas Lotto, which is interesting. I know some people were probably counting on the Christmas Lotto to give them stuff they needed to work on some servants, either newly rolled in the Lostbelt or in prep for the Lostbelt. But also, if you were interested in banners, a new story release, of course, means quite a lot of Saint Quartz dropping. And this one especially, because this one is a big one in terms of raw chapter numbers. Raw numbers. So, it's kind of interesting. I do at least appreciate that, somebody in our chain of command was like, no, NA wants the story now. They'll do Christmas at Christmas. Crimbo is Crimbo. Not going the full-blown Japan, what's this Crimbo in November thing? They're like, no. Don't do that. Move that around. I know it bamboozles us, it gives us the agita, but it's definitely kind of an interesting thought process that somebody had where they're like, oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm aware it gives you the agita for a reason, Robin. But let's look at it this way. If you play Lostbelt 5 and you do all your free quests, you'll have 30 plus more Saint Quartz. And I'll tell you the exact number later during the pregame. Wink. That's right, everybody. Stay tuned. You want those numbers on the sequences, you gotta listen. Now, I think there's some interesting implications to all this, but it's probably mostly related around the season and the fact that technically I don't think the two sequences are related at all, so it's not like they're gonna, blow anything up by, switching around some servants and some mobs and stuff. It just means your lotto is slightly delayed. Now, there have been some people in our community who have been discussing if this means Lostbelt 5 Part 2 will be coming earlier. Some of them have been questioning if it will be coming much earlier, and I guess the politest way to say this is that they soundeth like they are taketh the crazy pills. But yeah, no, some of these wild off-key predictions people have been saying are very ludicrous. Somebody was like, does this mean Lostbelt 5.2 in January? And it's like, what? No, that's not how that works. There's a full event slate in January. If you don't remember, we're getting a rerun of Sparrow in, which will probably be 2 weeks in the front half of January, not to mention New Year's banners and stuff. And then at the end of January is the Amazon S event, the Amazon S Tower. So, yeah, no, we have a full schedule. The schedule doesn't start to get stretched out until after Lostbelt 5 Part 2 comes out. We started to get stretchy with, the collab was delayed, the Golden Week collab was delayed, and stuff like that, right? That was when our first layer of, COVID delays started happening in FGOJP. So, they do not have the gaps to, like, push up Lostbelt 5 Part 2 any more than our usual, like, 2 or 3 weeks of push-up. And I think they've got those push weeks on the back half. I'd have to actually, like, do the whole deep dive. Tyranno, you have missed most of Skelegrams. This is why I send the ping. But, yeah, so, I don't know. Lucky, your thoughts on some of these wild opinions?
I mean, people are always going to have wild opinions. People are still, like, I was screening mailbag here, then people are still asking about Saber Raiko. I'm just like, guys, why?
True.
So
I don't even know why you guys are asking about that in reference to Guda Guda. Guda Guda has enough things to give us.
So, people are going to wildly speculate, but I think the best thing to do is just, wait for things to happen and just do the Will Smith meme of just, behold!
Yeah. Like I said, I think we may get our usual, like, scooching a couple of weeks up as we do, because we have to, like, shift some stuff around. But there is some wiggle room in the schedule already. I don't think we're going, like, full-blown, like, 2 months early, because here's the thing, guys. New story releases, that means, like, new mobs, new mats usually, new servants, all those other stuff. Sometimes those servants and those mobs and those things have, like, building blocks in earlier releases. I don't know if our code is in such a way that we can punch out a whole story event and move it, like, that many months ahead of time. But let me actually, like, somebody posted a image which should break down all the banners that we'll be getting in 22, so I can double check what we got going on. In January, there should be Yang and 2 rerun banners for Sparrow's Inn. We are also looking at the Amazon S banner, which should be a Cleopatra raid up. February will be... I don't even know what that is. That's got to be an interlude campaign, I think. Valentine's, obviously. And then the 19 million downloads, which is Aresh Kigal, and of course, Fion. Why do they do this?
Suffer.
March will be White Day, which will be Odysseus, and the APOC rerun. And then April will be the whole kit and caboodle of Lostbelt 5 Part 2. That is, the 2 Olympus banners, and then a 20 million DL banner, which some of that stuff might get spread out a little. So, like, I could see that, like, maybe because March is a lighter month and they have to move a couple, like, maybe, the first Lostbelt 5 Part 2 banner is, like, that gets started in, like, late March, But I think we've got a pretty full schedule. The real doldrums are, like, in May, you've got the Guda Guda rerun. I think that's an interlude campaign. Then there's the like, slightly delayed Requiem collab. In June, you've got the very, very early rerun of Summer, which I don't even know if we'll do. That might be something that gets moved, by the way, guys. That Summer rerun. Yeah, we have a lot of hunting quests in the front, which may or may not get doled out to buy us space. There's another interlude campaign in June. There's a lot of interlude campaigns next year. And then in July is when it gets fucky, because that's like the CCC main interlude banner, that weird AoE only banner, the anniversary banner for Castoria, which obviously for us is like a whole month earlier. That will technically probably be late June. Then there's the Oki rerun, and then Summer 5, and then more download stuff that keeps repeating, so on and so forth. And obviously all these are untranslated, so I don't know all the necessary, like, where we're going, but, there's Cockfest, there is a Crimbo rerun for next year's Crimbo, there's, we can assume Thanksgiving, all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, and then once we get into summer, FGO really picks up its steam again. It's mostly just, like, in the little bit of gap between, like, the Lostbelt hits in, like, April, and then it's, like, reruns, delays on the collab, which we won't have, and then they do a really early summer rerun to, like, buy time. It'll be interesting. And even then, June won't be that dead for us, because that's the end of June is when our anniversary happens, so anything that needs to happen before our anniversary, they will cram forward into that. God, does that mean do they have to move up the CCC main interlude, or does that not required to do? I don't think that would be necessary, right?
It could go either way.
Yeah. Like, they might want to scooch it up because they got to scooch up space, but it's also a scooch they don't have to scooch? I don't know. It's an interesting question. If you want all these guides, and more, pop into our Discord. So we have taken a firm 30-ish minutes for news. That about wraps it up. I would like to take a brief intermaction before we get into the mailbag action. I made it rhyme. That makes it cool, right? Let's take a pause. And we're back. I gotta stretch.
And we are... So, Lucky's gonna take the reins here for a little bit. Mm-hmm. And we're gonna do this week's Let's Talk FGO mailbag, the segment where we read what you have to send in and comment accordingly. I will be nice and I'll do a refresh here, just to see how many. And we are at a whopping 16.
Yep.
So, I think we have a bit of space for faffing, frivolity, and free thinking.
Yeah, I think as a good general rule is if we get over 20, we might need to cap ourselves. But for the last few shows, we've been getting like sub 20. So even with a meaty back half on this show, I think it's fine if we just roll through these in order. If we get too lost in the weeds, I might just have to, find us a weed whacker and get us out of there.
All right, but we're going to start off immediately. And this first one comes from Good Children Get Candy, Bad Children Get Lightning. But they say, hey y'all, just well wishes this week. Hope your turkey and meals were fulfilling and nutritious. Regards, Caster Fran. We didn't mention this, but we did see the FGO arcade news about Caster Fran, and I have me a grumpus.
Yeah, our arcade had a stream. They're doing Christmas Fran. It's I think I said it before. I don't think it's as egregious as Santa Suzuka, because that is a very in-character design that is also really sexy, and they went to the nines with that. Fran is in a similar vein to Santa Helena, where it's cute, it's cool, it's not crazy different, but it's also still a little bit damn your eyes,
I want it. Did my mat melt to my table? What the fuck? Sorry, side tangent here. I'm just looking at my mat. I'm noticing there's this black stain. I'm all what is this black stain on my table? I go it up. It's sticking to my mat, and there's a gap in my mat now. So, I don't know what the fuck I put on this thing, but it melted my mat to my table.
Was it your hot cider?
It might have been. Oh, that reminds me. I actually did get my Dragon Maids in, finally. The 4 cards I've been waiting since October for.
Finally got them shipped back from Hawaii.
Yes.
Hey, that's okay. I have my own now. My order for my big box of Eldorado is the new gold cards is still awaiting processing, even though they've been street release has been for a week. I hope that gets resolved in an orderly fashion. I did spend quite a bit of cash on that. But yeah, arcade.
Well, yes. Also to everyone out there, I hope your Turkey Day was good and filling as well. But we move on. Thank you very much. This next one comes from I Am the Ally of My Justice, who says, hey guys, I'm a big fan of your show. Well, thank you. Who do you think is going to be released first as a servant in FGO? Arcuid or Mato Shinji Pseudo Servant? So, interestingly enough, Nazu has gone on to say that while he is interested in doing a Tsukihime collab with FGO, he wants to wait till after the second half is released. What was it? What they call it? The Other Side of the Red Garden or something like that?
Yeah,
it's something like that.
It's a red we have because the first one is Blue Moon, I believe. Yeah,
piece of the Blue Glass Moon or something like that. So knowing Nasu, they're probably going to stick to that, and unfortunately, we don't necessarily have a timetable on when that second half is releasing. So at the moment, I would have to say that the Mato Shinji face is probably more likely.
Now, it's interesting you say that, because I actually say the opposite, even with that news. Because I think that even with the idea that Nasu wants to hold back until the second half comes out, God knows when that'll be. I'm assuming probably next year, maybe late or maybe early the year following that. I don't know. I have a sneaking suspicion that I think Nasu, one, he doesn't have as much of his cross workload because he's not writing another Lostbelt 6. We hope. Please, Nasu, stop. Get some help. But also, I can't imagine that him and his team did the whole rewrite on the first half and didn't think about the second half already. So some pre-production is probably already done. But I still think that Tsukihime is so much more in the oeuvre and in the collective consciousness that it is much more likely that Arc in some form will drop over here than we'd get at least specifically a Shinji pseudo. it has been like 6.5 years of FGO. Shinji is nowhere to be seen. Like, we've had our Muramasa, like, deep bomb. You've had multiple Rin faces. They've really played with the Sakura face thing. Shinji's just fucking nowhere. Not even in the extra context, because people are generally okay with extra Shinji. He just doesn't exist. Now, if you want to talk about Shinji faces, we have some different options there, but with a pseudo, I'm just straight up like, is a pseudo coming? I don't actually think so at this stage. I don't know.
I guess that's fair. But, like I said, if we're talking, like, original FSN crew, there's still actually, like, a decent haul of just unused content. I constantly bemoan the lack of more Medea, Constantly.
Yeah, Medea and Medusa don't really get their fair shake. Medusa hasn't really, other than the fact that they draw new Medusa CE every year, Medusa hasn't really gotten her fair shake since Babylonia. OG regular classic Medea has been like cut out of every possible story opportunity to put in different Medeas, like her Lily form or Kirki, her teacher. So yeah, there's a little bit of that action. We know that like Bazette is still unused in any form. Fucking Karen got in the game first. All things funnily considered, out of nowhere really too. So it's really an interesting space. I don't think that a Shinji pseudo is as likely as say like Bazette for instance and other ladies. Now like I said, Shinji face. Well, we've already got Jason as kind of a soft Shinji face, right? And while his personality is different, Perseus is actually described as looking a little bit like Shinji from what we've seen in some concept art. He's supposed to be, in some versions, he's got the wavy purple hair and sometimes honestly, the pale skin.
Only Perseus, I believe it. I would not be surprised if next Valentine it was Bazette.
Yeah, that also makes sense. But the two versions of the character, the servant Perseus, have been data mined as the Rider and Lancer for like forever. Like they're supposed to be in like the OG game data, and just they've never gone anywhere with them. So, it's a little that I think. Now, if you wanted to ask me like what will happen first, like Perseus Shinji face or Arc, that's a different discussion because one of those things could apparently happen at like any time, and another one of those has a real life resonance factor. So that's more of a question, I think. That's me.
And that's all for that, so thank you very much. We move on. This next one comes from King of Apple, who wants all to know stuff is getting whack in Tower of God. I do not watch or read Tower of God, but I will believe it if you say so, my dude. Question. We've seen servants who are underrepresented and underpowered in comparison to their real-life history/mystery, see Romulus. Are there any servants where the complete opposite is true, and their lore/fame should not make them as strong as they are, excluding Lostbelt servants because of different timelines? So, this is not, I'm not going to try and sound rude for this, but I want you to actually take a hard look at the majority of the servants and what bullshit powers they do.
It's a fair number. There's a lot of, start your list looking at SSRs. I have an example rather than run down literally every servant, but I think probably one of the most prominent examples of this is, look at Okita. Now, yes, Okita is not an overpowered SSR. She underperformed compared to several other 5-star sabers early until she got several buffs. But in terms of the game appreciating her rarity and stuff, she is way better than, say, Caesar, a launch unit, a lower rarity saber, even though to most places not Japan, Gaius Julius Caesar is a way bigger deal than Okita Soji. And arguably, I mean, Okita's cool and all, and they've got, like, some lore behind it, but there are probably way more cool historical figures in Japan, other than Okita even, who are not necessarily, higher up in the rarity, right? Yeah. So, that was definitely a waifu tax plus, name recognition because she's from, a pre-existing part of the franchise and the Kohei Ace and the Guda stuff. So, like, yeah, no, there's a good example of, like, even by their own admission, her original stat line, Okita was a joke character. She can't shoot a beam and she's constantly coughing up blood, right?
Right.
But they made her an SSR in FGO because it's what you do.
And if we think about, like... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. I was just going to reiterate my earlier point.
Yeah, and if you think about in general, if you're talking about, like, their actual, like, not mechanical power level, but, just what they can do conceptually, we get even further bullshit. Like, just think of how many characters just have, like, gods, like, outer gods, or whatnot, just kind of just bolted onto them, and they just go to do weird stuff. That's fucking weird. Why is that happening? No one fucking knows. It just is. Look at, we can't really talk about mythological figures because mythological figures are literally made to be larger than life and human and stuff. But then look at characters like, Edison, Tesla, Helena. I was like, Helena, why do you have UFOs? Edison, why are you a lion and shooting beams? Tesla, where did you get that fucking gauntlet? Da Vinci, where did you get that gauntlet?
At least with Da Vinci, you could be like, Universal Man, I made it. I'm brilliant at everything, including magic. Like, there's reasons for some of this stuff, but a lot of it has to do with, like, talking about, like, Edison being a lion, right? A lot of this has to do with they come up with their rough outline for what they want to do, then they talk to the artists, and sometimes the artists get back to them with crazy stuff, and they're just like, fuck it, go with it,
Yeah, no, like, honestly, I think one of the people who actually is closest to their power, actually, is probably Mata Hari. Mata Hari, World War, was it 1 or 2? I can't remember.
1.
World War spy, it's like, that's all she does. I'm pretty, I'm good at dancing, and I can get you to spill your secrets. Ta-da! That's me.
Yeah.
But then you start looking at other things, like, Jack the Ripper. Like, God, Jack the Ripper, like, this is, like, based on urban legends, but whoever Jack the Ripper was literally probably just a regular-ass dude who likes stabbing people.
Yeah, and I mean, they have the mystery excuse for, like, we can make Jack way weirder, literally having several different Jacks in the franchise at different points. But even then, though, like, Jack is crazy OP in lore because of that, and some of that isn't even though, yes, Murder Daughter is a very good unit, some of that is not even represented in the actual gameplay. Like, the erasure of existence is like, oh, you lost your buffs, or no? Whereas in the actual, like, APOC, it's like, holy shit, we can't remember what the fuck Assassin of Black was. We literally fought them and we don't fucking know.
Another prime example, Mao Nobunaga, someone who, existed, was fairly detailed alive, but for some reason, because they called themselves the Sixth Demon,
Demon King, Sixth Heaven.
Seventh Heaven, thank you. We're just gonna slap on some sick-ass fire traits on them. And boom, check this shit out.
And at least they did the split where, like, regular, more normal Nobu came out first, and then they were alright, as a special, we're gonna give you Demon King Nobunaga, because that is actually, the Japanese literally can't necessarily decide. They're, like, this is why Demon King Nobunaga is such a big thing in, like anime and video games and stuff, is because people can't. It's a weird thing that I don't know if America has necessarily a good, like, historical figure, because we've only got a few hundred years going on to, like, compare it to, but, like, think about the greater, like, European characterization. It probably would be, like, the way certain, like, kings or generals are thought of. No, Nobu is not like George Washington, because nobody ever tries to say that George Washington was literally Satan. Now, if you wanted to say that George Washington was also Jesus and he crossed the Delaware by parting it like the Red Sea, that I would believe. I would believe that's a myth somewhere, an urban legend in America. But it's different, right? Where Japan has this really conflicted feeling where, like, Nobu was obviously, like, a really driving force, for unification and set up all this stuff as to the modern Japanese ethos, but also did a lot of the bad things, and especially in modern Japan, given their political climate, the stabbing of the many Buddhists is something they are comfortable with. So, like, they have this kind of weird back and forth. So it's that, they have the urban legend basis. Also, I do want to throw out, since we're slightly in the weeds here, in this question, this person called out, Romulus was underpowered compared to, his history/mystery. I mean, for his lore, yes. As a unit in Fate, what he's supposed to do in Fate, he's underpowered. In terms of actual history, no. He's just... Guys, I mean, not universally, but, like, Greek and Roman demigods in Fate are way more anime than normal Greek and Roman demigods. Like, Herc is cool.
Romulus was just kind of a dude.
like Herc is cool, but mostly his thing was just being, like, he suckled upon the teat of Hera, so he got mad god boob powers, and he's, like, fucking invincible and can wrestle everybody. He's, like, 6 feet tall and weighs a fucking ton kind of shit. Not like, I can move super fast and shoot 9 million arrows. Like, yeah, he shot all the Hydra heads, but that was just, he was really strong and shot arrows really fast, and then his little buddy cousin boyfriend burned all the stumps. There's a lot of man love, and there's a lot of family stuff in Greek myths too. So, like, yes, Herc did a lot of cool stuff, but like I said, mostly it was just he was really strong and really wrestling. Yeah, no, if you want to go Indian mythology, that's anime as fuck. But, no, like, a lot of classical mythology is way more restrained and more practical because it's supposed to be, like, histrionic. It's like, sure, Zeus chucked a mountain at a giant guy. I mean, I don't think so, because, like I said, I think a lot of people actually give Nobu some credit. That's Columbus's thing, is nobody gives Columbus any credit now. It's because, and they shouldn't have to begin with, Columbus Day was always fake news, and now we just realized we've counter-memed the meme and realized that, like, yeah, this Columbus
we can directly correlate Nobunaga to the unification of Japan. Like, this was like one of the things we were talking about. If it wasn't for what Nobunaga did,
modern Japan, and I think in scholarship, a lot of people are like more positive. This is how you get representation, like FGOs, where we're like, Nobunaga was all right. He wasn't any worse than any other warlords, but like in certain like religious and conservative quarters, it's like, my God, he called himself the Demon King of Sixth Heaven, and he stabbed a lot of armed priests, militant priests, because guys, don't think that when we talk about, like, Buddhist monks and priests that you're talking about, Om robes and stuff. No, we're talking, like, church militant shit here. They were not. Warrior monks were a very real thing in a lot of periods.
By the time that Columbus discovered, quote-unquote American Caribbeans, technically they had already been discovered. It's just they hadn't been just the area that they,
Yeah, I don't think anybody in Europe knew the Caribbean was there, but Vikings had been there. I think there were some other expeditions that may have reached the eastern coast of it.
Yeah.
And also, like, factually, no, Columbus was just
crazy.
Yeah, he was just not a great guy. What the fuck? Hold on a minute. Let me unpause the recording. I did pause it for a second there.
Okay.
Yeah, my Discord just crashed, and I had to reboot really quick. That was weird. I've noticed some slight instability in Discord lately. Like, it's been sucking up some extra spew and stuff, and I'm kind of like, what are you doing, Discord? You okay?
Well, they are doing constant updates and whatnot, trying to make it, that big community thing.
It's true, and a lot of the updates are very good. But yeah, I was just talking about how we factually know that Columbus was just kind of a weird guy. Like, we already knew the Earth was round and all that stuff, Magellan had already gone around the Horn of Africa, I think, and stuff to the Indies. It was just like, everybody knew you could go around the other way. It's just people didn't think the distance was possible. And he was like, no, I'm sure that my math is correct. His math was not correct. And we can make it to the Indies. And we'll make a shitload of money. Please pay me. And the Spanish were like, well, or was it the Portuguese? I think it was the Spanish crown, though.
It was one of the two.
Whichever one of those merchant empires it was like, all right, fuck it. Here's some boats and here's some dudes. Go find me the Indies. And if you don't come back, whoops. And he was like, hello, I found the Indies. It's full of people I can oppress and money we can make. And they were like, okay, cool. Don't oppress them too much. That's bad publicity. And Columbus is like, no. And then they're like, God damn it, Columbus, we told you. Minimal oppression. PR. And Columbus is like, you know what buys good PR? Gold. Gold and spices. Basically, as far as we can tell, Columbus was kind of a gremlin person in real life.
And it's very well represented in FGO.
Yes. He and his bros knew there was money in them Nar Hills, and they wanted the money, and they weren't afraid to oppress people to extract that money juice. To the point where the Spanish grad reprimanded him. They were like, Columbus, chill the fuck out. Calm down, okay? And he was like, no, money. I have a lot of debts. But yeah, so like I said, I don't think we have an American pop cultural, like, in most circles in America, you were either like, you were well thought of, and sometimes we remember that you had flaws, and we, remember you're a real human.
Actually, I think the thing that actually is prominent is not necessarily fucking urban legends, but here in America, we have a fuck ton of conspiracy theories. The more I think about it,
yeah, that's our thing. I suspect it has something to do with our American ethos. One of our protected rights being freedom of the press.
Yeah,
which is not like other things. That is not a right that is guaranteed in all nations. Like even modern constitutional democracies, like the UK, for instance, doesn't have freedom of the press.
Like, 'cause that's the thing that I'm always hearing about. Everyone's like, this was fake, this was staged. people in pockets. Like, that's what I'm always hearing about nowadays.
Yeah. We don't go for, like, full-blown demonization, like, heroism to demonization, or at the very least, we don't cut it both ways where, like, oh shit, that person really sucked. Oh, actually, the person was okay. Like, if you think about a lot of our history that is controversial, it's usually because we thought people were okay, and then later we realized, oh, maybe that person was problematic.
No, like I was actually reading something on J. Edgar Hoover about that. So that's what I was thinking about. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
For those of you who might not remember, J. Edgar Hoover was the first director of the FBI and seemed like a pretty swell dude until later it comes out that he was basically abusing his power to push well, not necessarily push his own political leanings, but lean on other people of certain political standing and whatnot.
Yes, so J. Edgar himself was later in life known as being one of many of our very staunch anti-communists.
Yeah,
in the way that everybody was in the post-World War world.
Yeah, but he had power to do it, and boy howdy.
Yes, there are many stories from that time period about his wielding of the first the Bureau of Investigation and then the FBI like a club against his enemies. Also, possibly, it's heavily hinted at that is the Learning with Manga assassin is J. Edgar Hoover, possibly a gender swap, possibly just in drag, because that was a. I believe it is a unconfirmed, but a long-running rumor about J. Edgar. But all right, I think we've gone in the weeds on that question enough, including my.
All right, then we'll move on. So all in all, most servers are overpowered and bullshit in some capacity.
Yes. If you are looking for specifics again, just start going down the line and be honest with yourself.
So, with that though, thank you very much. We move on. This next one comes from a notorious stan whose wall is in danger because of Thanksgiving banners. And they say, "Greetings, Lucky and Omega. Hope you're both doing well. Sending back the good vibes. Question: who is some of your favorite Greek figures? What aspects do you like about them? Lucky, best of luck to you. You're gonna roll for Dandy Old Man. Gentlemen, have a great rest of your weekend." Well, like I already said. Wait, did I actually say it? Oh yeah, I did. Yeah. 20 total pools. No Dandy Man. But favorite Greek figures?
The luck wishing is a little late, all things considered at the time, but
yeah. I'm gonna be real. I'm more of a fan of the monsters than I am the heroes, I guess.
Greek mythology has some very classic stories about monsters.
Yeah.
Everybody should know what I'm about. I think I've said frequently. I'm a big Athena simp, and I'm also very fond of my. She was an Argonaut. You can call Medea a hero. This person just says favorite Greek figures. But also, you guys should know, I've talked about it before, I'm a big fan of the OD, the Odysseus.
If we're talking like Greek gods, I think the top two I like is Hephaestus and Hades. Just because they're just two guys and like, I just want to do my fucking job. Why are you mortals trying to complicate shit? Please, stop.
In our like postmodern re-examining, it's usually those three we've all mentioned between the two of us get the top billing of like, because like, yeah, Athena occasionally has some questionable occurrences in her own backstory of like punishing, the story of Arachne, which in some interpretations Arachne is just like, yeah, I'm better, or she's like not being that mean. In some interpretations, Arachne like realizes she can't possibly compete with the gods and is going to go commit suicide, and Athena's like, oh, okay, it's fine, you can be a spider. But like a lot of people are, about like, hey, Hephaestus is just a guy, his mom didn't like him, so she threw him off a mountain and he just, does his work. Hey, Hades is just a guy, he's doing his job. All of our, post-Christianization demonization of Hades is because we can't possibly imagine that the underworld is cool. Even though, by the way, the Greeks don't have a heaven. Like, they have a realm of the gods, but you don't go there, okay? Unless you become deified, which is not... Well, actually, that might be how some interpretations of the Christian afterlife go, but it's not the normal one, okay?
You ascend to the heavens, you get to chill with the gods, and you get to eat, like, sweet, like, the bestest wine and the bestest food. Forever, I guess.
But, yeah, like, those characters are often not as... They are well thought of, whereas Zeus is, obviously... Zeus has aged poorly. He is problematic.
Like, a lot of, like, let's see, I'm mentally going through the list right here. And I would also say,
mostly because she's not very well attested. I have a soft spot for Hestia/Vesta, because fire goddesses are cool, and she is also incredibly chill because she has a fuck. Basically, what I'm getting at, Lucky, here, I think, is that in our modern society, we respect the people who just have jobs and try to do them. It's the characters who are out fucking around causing problems that we're like, oh my god, Zeus, isn't life hard enough? Did you have to bang this woman as a goose? Okay, like we know you don't have a day job. God,
I'm not gonna lie. I only learned of Hestia because of Danmachi, but I'm me. I learned about this. I'm like, it is time to immediately research, and I'm like, oh no, I love her.
Yeah, and like I said, she's a little underattested because the canonicity of the 12 Olympians sometimes goes back and forth. Sometimes people slot Dionysus in there. There are some like later myths that say that Hestia stepped aside to keep her job so that Dionysus could sit at among the 12 in Olympus. That is almost assuredly an ex post facto thing when like Dionysus's worship like sprung up. And if you wonder where Dionysus came from, OSP has a great video about this. Everybody drink. About the history of Dionysus, which goes places.
But yeah, no, I was just going through a mental list. I'm like, I was like, Zeus, problematic. Hera, problematic. Artemis, problematic. Ares, really problematic. Aphrodite's problematic. I'm just like,
oh yeah, that's another. Listen, Supergiant, please. I told you, like DLC or sequel to Hades with like a couple of Olympians you didn't mention. You can come up with an excuse for another Greek dungeon crawler. And I think I talked about before we brought this up, I really wanted Hestia to be mentioned because I would love fire stuff to come up, like a burn dot or other weird things you'd do. Oh, that's... Okay, we're back. My Discord froze for a second again, and I'm like, are we going to crash again?
No, I still hear you.
Yeah, no, we're fine. I was a little concerned, I guess. I know sometimes my Discord will, normally the Discord, standalone version, it has, its own special top bar. Sometimes it'll do the, Windows default gray top bar when it's, processing something. But that was it. That one time, I guess, it fully locked up and crashed. But yeah, so there's some Greek figures. Greek heroes are also usually problematic because the Grecians' opinions on what you should be doing to be a culture hero were not necessarily modern. And I mean, mostly it's just, I would say that our modern problem is their relationships with women.
Yeah.
That are the issue rather than anything else.
Listen, there's a lot of guys who weren't doing a lot of banging, so they took it out in their writing, okay?
And, I'll be real, I think for you and me, Lucky, both of us are relatively relativist about morality.
Yeah.
The fact that Greek heroes killed a lot of dudes, I'm like, if you think about it too hard, maybe some of Hercules' labors of, usually involve to going places and borrowing and or stealing weird mythological creatures. You're like, wow, did you really just roll up to the giant Geryon and murder him and steal his flaming cattle because you had to? Well, I mean, I guess you did have to. It was a whole thing.
Yeah, but you're only in this situation because Hera really, really doesn't like that you bit her tit.
Yes. Well, that and also then the, figuring out it was Zeus's kid and then also the thing. But to be fair, it's we understand why Hera is the way she is, but also to us it comes across as incredibly petty that she doesn't
just slap her husband / brother.
Kick Zeus in the dick and move on with her life, Shit, dude, you had Ares right there. Why don't you just give him the adamantine, ball sickle? You've still got it somewhere. Gaia got fucking upset when you guys, didn't treat her generation of kids right. She started the Gigantomach. She was like, hey, Zeus, it's cool that you, beat up your dad and, the Titans and all that stuff who are my kids. I understand the cycle. I raised you in the wilderness. But could you, let my other sons, the giants, out again and treat them right, please? And Zeus was like, I don't know about that. And she was like, giants! It's a whole thing. The read up on your Greek mythology, everybody. It's very interesting. Okay, well, I think we've answered that about favorite Greek figures.
Yeah. No, we got in the weeds. But it's fine. So we're going to move on. Thank you very much for that. This next one comes from Voitus Crusader. They say, thanks for your advice last week. I should be able to manage my time better now. Well, I hope you took our ramblings and got something out of it. And it seems like you did. So, awesome. No question for me this week. Hope you guys have a good holiday this year. P.S. My stand name would totally be Optimum Pride. Mine would probably be Rise Against. Rise against the...
I think I've got a record in saying I think my favorite joke is I would call mine "Darkness of the Hillside Thickets." Because I love that band, and also it's very funny. And if you don't know who the Darkness of the Hillside Thickets are, fucking Google it. That reminds me, maybe for Christmas this year I'll buy myself their albums. Kind of put that one off for lots of other projects.
Lucky bought himself a tablet and set for Black Friday, so I'm tapped on Christmas on holiday purchases for myself. But with that, we move on. Thank you very much. This next one comes from the Eternal Gray of a Tired Mind. They say, "Hey, Lucky to Mega, hope life's been treating you well. Thanksgiving coming up soon, and honestly, the roster feels underwhelming. No Gil for starters, but Jack and XY, side glance, seems especially out of place since both of them had banners in the last few months, or will have one soon enough. Alas, I'll take what I can get. I really want to take a shot at Reyna's, but with Chad Orion coming so soon, I have no idea how to approach this. My question to the two of you is this, where Ryoma and Oreo gaining a super form with the latest Guda, which other servants would you like to see get a similar treatment? I suppose a caveat on this is that their rider form was inherently weaker and in a similar situation to OG Romulus from the get-go, but whatever. Personally, I'd like to either say Saber Raiko, who's been hyped up a fair bit, with her supposedly being her strongest class, or Saber/Circle Gil. Hope you have a great weekend ahead. P.S. Just this time, I promise, would Omega get the spook and summon a Pransom just like one too many line breaks?
I'm not spooked by the line breaks. I am offended by your poor grammatical construction. That's not how you're supposed to use line breaks. Don't use them to keep hiding your giant blobs of text because you don't understand what being concise is.
No, I don't think Gil needs an
also,
upgrade.
yes, no, I was waiting to see if Lucky had something else in there, but no, I'll swing in the bat too on no, Gil doesn't already need another overwanked power form. He's already the strongest servant ever in his archer form. He's so strong, the class system can't contain him. Blarg.
So strong that the
Blarg,
next...
by the way, is Gil's dick firmly affixed in Nasu's throat.
Jesus.
What? I haven't been subtle about how I feel like that Gil is a little overhyped by Nasu because he doesn't want to say that he's wrong.
But what the Saber Raiko thing is like I appreciate my my Raiko as is. I don't think I'm noticing things. I will if we're talking about.
I think there's possibly some untapped lore in like the Saber Raiko, but I don't know why people started thinking of this as like a super form thing. Like nobody is necessarily saying that Saber Raiko is her best class. It's her scariest class, as in, she would murder all of you. Like, Kintoki, when he brings it up, says it would not be a good thing if she was Saber Raiko right now, usually, right?
Yeah, if you guys have done, Saber Raiko's interlude, where she actually goes in what, Kintoki calls lone warrior mode, that wasn't a good mode, and that was still in her berserker form. And I think he said that this is kind of how she is in Saber form, is that she's kind of more of a machine than a person.
Yeah, like
so...
people play it up as like, oh, it'll be a cool new Raiko, and I'm like, guys, do you read? Do you just hear Kintoki say Saber Raiko and you block out the rest of the text? Like,
But no, if we're actually being serious, someone like I've gone on record for saying this. I was like, I'm still waiting for my lady Yotogiri.
Yep.
That is a 5-star Avenger for sure. Because while Cha-Cha does kind of represent the results of her actions in the I can't remember what it was called off the top of my head, but the summer and winter sieges, she's kind of playing the avoidance card.
Yeah, she doesn't want to talk about those things.
She basically doesn't acknowledge it. She's basically the Cha-Cha who basically was doted on by Monkey, and was a kind of a spoiled brat.
And I don't even know how much historically that happened, but even a little bit of spoiled by like Nobu, right? Like constantly talking about auntie and stuff.
Mm-hmm. So, Lady Yotogiri will be the fucking pretty much regent of Japan, wielding her authority to with her son, trying to fight off Tokugawa, thank you. Ieyasu, ending up, burning down castles and, waging wars.
Yeah.
So
he has another good point talking about, like, how this is a long-running lore bomb, is that regular Ku can be summoned as a berserker, but you don't want to see his warp spasm. And you don't, by the way. It's described as really awful and gross. There are some interesting cases. I'll steal somebody else's note from my own. Another popular one I think also I approve of is Writer Caesar, talking about characters who are kind of a big deal, who are a little underplayed. Like, Caesar and FGO is interesting, to be sure. Like, they went for the Croquet on Moors thing, which I thought was a little bit of an obscure reach, so I like it, because I like swords. And they certainly try and talk about, like, his charisma and abilities with, like, his incitation and stuff, but I don't feel like they necessarily fully represented, Gaius Julius Caesar, the first emperor of Rome, one of Rome's most famous generals who was often very successful by virtue of writing everything down, and, like, the guy who crossed the Rubicon and stuff. Like, he did a lot of work. He won a lot of campaigns, He also, I mean, how can you get more perfect than Caesar being a writer, so he's weak to assassins? Come on. You could do a lot of higher level things with Caesar as bumping him to a new rarity. You could do Slim Caesar, bring in a lot of interesting elements.
All right, but I think we've talked enough about that, so
yeah, I was thinking, and nobody else really jumped out to me, so we can scooch along.
Like I said, we could, but like I said, we don't need to get that much in the weeds about it.
Nope, we've crossed the hour mark. We're actually getting close on an hour 15. Mm-hmm. We're doing the work.
Doing the work. So the next one comes from Had a Good Name for Alias, and it's gone. They say, greetings to the two of you, and happy post-Turkey Day. Had a good time as well as a great time at Anime NYC. Couldn't attend the FGO panel, though. Everything was full. First major con in a long time? I believe it. Anyway, enough of my rambling. I wish the two of you a great weekend and stay safe. Same to you, my dude. I hope your Turkey Day was ramming. I'm glad you actually made it out to the con.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear people, going out into the wild. And may your weekend be great, too. You stay safe. Hey.
But with that, though, we're going to move on. Thank you very much. This next one comes from, who is your favorite member of Hollow Kanto and why is it Mume? Well, it's not. It's Crony. Duh. Yes. Also, side tangent. Yes, we did see the new Hollow Live. I have already subscribed for our business channel.
I noticed to Laplace. I wonder if that's a Laplace's demon reference.
Probably. I enjoy her big horde energy and bird on head. Okay.
Well, and also as a Kali clip I've already watched, she's got that Mesugaki energy.
Yes.
That who's this sassy lost child, and is
I adore it.
Shorter than Guda, which is an achievement. But we'll see how everybody else goes.
Yeah. But they say, Greetings, Lucky Omega. What is your favorite instance of convincing someone to get into the Fate series? Stay awesome. Real talk. I don't think I've actually convinced anyone to get. Yeah, there's that brat. I adore her.
We already have a gift.
I will grab her by the horns and pet that head. But I don't think, I don't know, maybe we convinced some of you guys to start Fate or something, but I don't think I've actually gone out of my way to convince anyone about Fate. Usually if anyone's talking to me about Fate, it's because they already know that I watch a fuck ton of Fate, know a fuck ton about Fate, and, will usually come to me for advice. But I've never gone up to someone saying, like, hey man, do you need some wild historical inaccuracies with fuck ton of action? Yo. Never done that.
Yeah, same. I mean, no, I don't know if I've had any great success. I'm thinking, and I don't think I've got anything crazy. Like, I've talked about Fate with people. I've recommended to some people in general, but, I've never had any, ooh, great success. I definitely convinced them. We just occasionally recommend it, and sometimes people get into it. And I don't know, how big it is,
Well, unfortunately, I don't think we have anything else to say on that, so we're going to move on. Thank you very much. The next one comes from Agent 418, who says, hello, Lucky and Omega. Or actually, no, Lucky Ampersand Omega, because there's no space. They go on to say, hope you have a whimsical weekend. I don't want it to be whimsical. I need to actually get shit done.
Yeah, we've got to have a productive weekend.
P.S. Hope that Thanksgiving was great for you both. I went to 2 dinners. I have leftovers for a fucking week, and someone already ate all the pea salad. God damn it.
Well, rip that guy. Mm-hmm. We had a quiet and slightly sudden dinner at home because we weren't going anywhere. We also have a lot of leftover turkey. I'm hoping we can get some good bread in. I'm going to be eating turkey sandwiches for a week.
But with that, we move on. So thank you very much. The next one comes from The Eternal Storm, who says, hey guys, no question this week. Hope your Thanksgiving was pleasant and enjoyable. It was I hope yours was pleasant and enjoyable. It better have been. Or else.
If you didn't have an enjoyable Thanksgiving, punch out this clip and show it to your family and friends.
So, thank you very much for that. And now, we move on again. This next one comes from a master collecting bets on who would win an arm wrestling tournament, Super Ryan versus Barguest. I mean, just compare their strength stats. But they say, hey, Lucky and Omega, happy Black Friday, happy shopping if you decide to participate with Lostbelt 5 right around the corner. Here's my question. Do you guys have any favorite teams that you like to use during story quests? I like to use teams like using the previous Lostbelt servants when possible to conquer the current one. Conquer and current should not be in the same sentence. Fuck that. Wishing you guys good health, happy holidays, and of course, Nobu Nobu. I mean, I try to bring my waifus, but that's about it. Like, can I shove a Sakura face or a Tamamo face in here? Done. If not, then I'm just gonna go whatever gives me the highest chance of success.
Yeah, I just look at the class list and I go, class advantage, go burr. I try to use, story support servants when I can, when it makes sense, but occasionally I don't do that because they sometimes they fuck with you. Like, they give you, take this Rider to this all-assassin node, and you're like, no, FGO, I won't do that. But,
how about no?
Yeah, no, in general, it's just, I use the favorite list, right? I have the actual, the little menu with all the stars in it that I go through, and I will usually use those because they float to the top, but, other than that, no, I don't use any particular themes. Like, I will, if a battle is good for a servant, I'll use them, but it's not always,
I think we've said our piece on that, so we move on. Thank you very much. This next one comes from the new Azure Lane collab. Makes no sense, but it's great. Real talk. When does any collab make sense? FGO collabs make no sense. They're all in universe.
Yeah, FGO collabs are often confusing. At least they have a theme. Azure Lane has never had a collab that made sense.
Listen, you want to go see weird ass fucking collabs? Go to Grand Blue Fantasy. Go to Grand Blue Fantasy and go get your Detective Conan collabs. Go get your fucking Car Captain Sakura collabs. I
think the big ones that always rustled my jimmies was I think they got both Code Geass and Persona 5.
Yes.
Grand Blue is definitely the king of, anime pop culture collabs. It is, one of their big things.
Oh. I remember you can get a Jehudi summon in there. Zone of Ender's Jehudi. Just what?
That's a fucking deep cut. That's a weird one.
Okay. But yes, no, Azure Lane is doing their Gridman X. I can't fucking say it. I can't say it. Daizamon?
Yeah, I don't know what the spelling is.
If I could see the spelling, I could say it, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. But they're doing that collab, so you can get a bunch of girls, more girls with tokusatsu parts. I guess it's kind of cool. Lucky I was able to actually get all of the ones in the radar pool in 100 cubes. So I'm like, this is good. I've completely fucked my luck.
Yeah, it is Denizen.
Okay. Alright, so they go on to say, question, been watching some martial arts films recently and got me wondering, in your opinion, could Bruce Lee qualify as heroic spirit in some way? He was very, very recent, but had an enormous impact on film and pop culture, and there is a significant mystery regarding how he died. Just interested in what your thoughts would be. P.S. I've also been watching Once Upon a Time in China series. Someone could definitely do something with Wong Fei-hun. I don't know if I said that right. I'm horrible with Chinese phenoms.
Dallas is, I think, still on his holiday break, so he can't help us.
And to answer your question, personally, I think not.
Yeah, Bruce Lee's probably way too recent to do.
And while you do say he has a huge impact, I can think of God, I was actually this is one of the questions I thought earlier. If Bruce Lee was in it, do you know what else would be in there? You get people like Charlie Chaplin, Shirley Temple, Marilyn Monroe. All these people also had huge impacts on
Yeah, they had big impacts on the pop culture, and obviously you can argue that Bruce Lee had the impact of his own synthesized martial arts style, but it's not quite the same. I would also throw out there the other thing you have to remember is heroic spirits, and yes, Bruce Lee was a badass, but heroism, and movies can kind of add to that legend, and obviously Bruce Lee was definitely sold as basically himself. Does anybody know the name of any? Does anybody remember the names of Bruce Lee characters in Bruce Lee movies? Probably not. No. You mostly just remember Bruce Lee beating up people, like when he beat up Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris being another name on that list. Not that we should necessarily make Chuck Norris a servant, but yeah, it's way too new, and I don't think it meets our classical designs of heroic spirits or mystery. What you're much more likely to do is you're going to get some historical martial artist or fictitious martial artist who is very obviously referencing Bruce Lee, because we do this all the fucking time in anime. That is much more likely. Stretch my thoughts. Sorry, I read the next person's question. I had a snort.
Like, if we're going to actually talk about, like, famous, like, martial artists that might be represented in media, fucking, the one that comes immediately to mind is, Ip Man, Grandmaster of, Wing Chun. Had a crazy explosion of popularity, not recently, but...
Well, yeah, they started the semi-biographical, obviously, film series, Ip Man, which, caused a big thing. But yeah, that would be another big potential one.
Oh, yeah. By the way, who taught Bruce Lee? So that is that. We shall move on.
Only got a few left.
Oh, yeah, I believe so. I think we're only like, wait, hang. Let me count this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, we're over the halfway mark, yes, but barely. So we continue on then. This next one comes from Malbuff Happened. Me happy. I hope you are. They go on to say, hello there, Big Dragon Lucky and Lancer with a Gun Omega. Hope both of you are doing fantastic. Mal got buff, so my weekend is already 2x as good as it was going to be. Not much else to say. I was going to hold back on rolling Skahawk because you got our animation update next year, but it seems like my timeline got moved around just a bit. A quick question. Now that we know that the Thanksgiving lineup, anyone you're interested in rolling in, or is it a complete skip? Anyway, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep giving us the great content. Bye-bye. Me, I'm interested in Reyna's and Moriarty, but unfortunately, like I said, I did a bit for Moriarty. I'm just like, nope, gotta hold. Like, I have a foreigner to roll in the new year, and I don't want to miss her. I really don't.
I think I already said that on Mike. My plan was, I believe it will be my ticket day at login tonight, so I will throw 3 tickets exactly at this cock rate up, which should be tonight, and then no further. Because I don't have a lot of Saint Courts. Hypothetically, if I were rolling, I would also probably be interested in Simi because of her interesting niches, and had a lot of fun during the Case Files collab. But yeah, no, I'm holding.
Gotta hold them.
There's gonna be GSSRs and stuff. I may or may not take some swings at Super Orion and Europa, or I might not. I do like archers though. But obviously, we've got other stuff coming in. The new year's full of new things.
New things! So with that, we move on. Thank you very much. This next one comes from man about to spend his last few tickets in Spree's Saint Courts open for Skok despite being 1,000 Saint Courts in the hole. Rough. Question, with LB5 around the corner, I know lots of people we wanted to roll Chad Orion, but I won't roll unless he's really interesting in the story. Meanwhile, I had no intention on getting Nero when we get him in NA until the end of LB4, and now plan on rolling for Nemo. That being said, have y'all ever not been interested in rolling for a servant only to see them in story or event and make you want that servant to show up in your Chaldea?
Yes.
Yes, this is a very bad weakness of mine. I'll be like, I don't need this character, I don't need this character. Because, clairvoyance. Then, I get them in story, I'm just like, oh no, my heart!
Yes, Lucky is bad about this, but I've even had my own incidents where it's like, I'm perfectly fine without this person. 12 hours later. I'm no longer fine without this person. Also, by the way, I want to throw this out there, because I have slight foreknowledge. This person's call about, unless I find them interesting in the story, I'm going to give you 5-1. This guy wants to roll for Super Orion afterwards. Because you'll be spending a lot of time with that big slab of man meat. He's like one of the first story supports you get, and he rides with you through a lot of the story. Whoa.
So, that, we move on. The next one comes from the Tiny Kring, now with lots of leftovers from Turkey Day 2021. Hey guys, hope you're not too much in the food coma for yesterday and ready to fight your way through Atlantis on Wednesday. Now for my question, which is your favorite Xmas special or movie since Thanksgiving is over and Christmas is around the corner? Take care and have a nice evening. Padoru. Well, we already know what Omega's answer is. We reference this constantly.
Yeah, I actually have 2, but they're both, it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky, you have a poll?
Actually, I have to think,
Alright, well, while you think, then I can give my examples. You guys should know this. I've talked about it at length before. I did a special about it on our channel. I always love to watch the original Die Hard around Christmas. It's a Christmas movie, no matter what Bruce Willis says. It's about Christmas. It's a major plot point, and it's just a great film all around. The other is I'm a huge fan of Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas, which is both a Halloween and a Christmas movie.
No, the more I think about it, I don't think I'm necessarily a Christmas media kind of guy.
Christmas media can get very overplayed. I have been seeing YouTube ads for Hallmark Channel original Christmas movies. Thanks, YouTube, and I am like, I saw one of those and I was like, I'm over it, YouTube. Never show me this again. Hallmark Channel, what the fuck? By the way, if you guys ever wondered what's wrong with like holidays and holiday marketing, it's the Hallmark company. We should have taken them out back and shot them long ago, but they have a fucking cable channel. They have too much money and power. Please stop giving them money. That's the cyberpunk future we live in.
Clearly we need to come up with some sort of Hallmark core in the sprawl.
Oh, I'm sure Disney Warner ate them.
Oh, probably.
That's their greeting card wing, is just Hallmark now. Everybody just spells it Hellmark.
Like, I'm trying to think about it. Like, I don't necessarily think I enjoy Christmas movies that much, just in general.
I mean, there's a few classics, but no, I don't. A lot of them are like childhood memories, but some are weird. Like the main thing I think of is like, the original Home Alone.
That's a classic, but that's a classic for classic reasons, you know?
Yeah, it's very well shot and it's some very original stuff. But also, let's be real, you're literally only watching Home Alone for like the last 30 minutes. When that comes on cable, you tune it in, you realize he's only just been left at home. You're like, oh, I don't give a shit about this. I'm gonna come back in an hour when the booby traps happen.
Yeah.
That's why you're watching Home Alone. Be honest. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They're the ones I've named. There's a couple. I know some people have like fond memories of like the Santa Claus. That's a movie I haven't watched in years, though. So, I do not prefer the movie version of Polar Express. That was some weird mocap CG. So yeah, I mean, if you don't got one, do you have a favorite like classic animated special? Some like the old Rankin and Bass or anything like that.
The what?
Old like Rankin and Bass cartoons, very Charlie Brown Christmas, anything like that.
No.
That's fair.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think like, oh man.
I mostly know of those things through memes. I know one streamer who every December sets up special alerts where I think it's like the 24th and the 26th you get, or is it like the 26/12? Whatever. It's he plays the I'm Mr. Snow Miser clip from the classic Frosty the Snowman, and then the other one is Heat Miser, which are funny memes, but their song inserts are like 5 seconds long. They're not really big musical bits. It's weird. So yeah, I mean that's fair. If nothing jumps to mind, Lucky.
Well, that was the thing. It's like I don't feel like I need to get on this. It's just like I don't know, just media like seasonal media has never really like ever stuck with me. You prefer seasonal seasons, I think. Yeah, like. When it's wintertime, I'm like, fuck yeah, here comes winter. And then when Christmas rolls around, it's like, okay, free shit, cool. Like, I get into the spirit of the season, but not the media of the season, I guess. Because I love decorating for Halloween. I love decorating for Christmas. I fucking love making food for Valentine's. I like making treats for, I like making food for Thanksgiving. I like making treats for Valentine's. But at no point, like, during those holidays do I, like, want to sit down and watch things. I'm like, usually, no, well, it's time to do something, make something.
Yeah, I think there are some big keys, and I mean, I will say this. Part of my appreciation for some of these things, or knowledge of them, is my large and particular family situation, which often involves many people crowded around with nothing else to do but sit around and talk and watch TV. Family holidays are weird. But to that end, you could argue that football isn't much a holiday special for me and my family.
Yeah, fucking Thanksgiving games.
Just throw the football. There's always something to complain about. Or if not complain, at least acknowledge. I won't get into my many sports ball jokes, but it was on the boob tube yesterday.
Sports.
What was it? It was one team who was getting a lot of holding penalties. Was it Detroit? It was St. Louis. Somebody was getting handsy. Who doing the Witch's Ghost of Thanksgiving movie? Wow. That's certainly a take. But yeah, no. I think we've mined this one all out.
Then we shall move on. Thank you very much. This next one comes from, are we grateful for gotcha? I mean, I appreciate my 2D PNG waifus. They give me much joy when joy is not to be found. Listen, you ever want to go cheer yourself up in like one lonely day? Just go to your Just go to your server profiles and just start cycling through the happy birthdays. Just start cycling through them. You'll feel better. Trust me. But they say. So, currently on Google Play Store, you can earn extra points for every dollar you spend. Since it's the closest thing to a discount I can get, I try to buy quartz in bulk for feature banners. Some mixed results, aka impulse rolling is hard to fight. So my question is, if you spent all the money you intended to spend on quartz for the next few months ahead of time, do you think you'll be able to make it last? Gobble gobble, y'all. Yes, I can make it last, but I would definitely not have the entire thing by the time I reach there.
Yeah, if first of all, I would have less money. I like to budget. I like to budget by having the money, not spending the money ahead of time.
Yeah, no, like, this is what I do. I don't buy quartz ahead of time. I work on my credit card bill and get it down. Like, I think I just got it back down to 5,000.
Yeah,
or a little while ago.
I eyeball my bank account and I think about how much of it I'm willing to shell out in a month or two, and whether or not I need to cut back on other things, or work on bills or whatever. And some of that is just personal. I have acquired from my parents and myself a little bit of a spendy, thrifty person. I always like to give my side eyeball at prices and think about stuff. And if I even if it's not a lot, if I shell out too much at once out of my bank account, I start to go a little. Nyeh.
Actually, that's right. Speaking of the Google Play thing, I wonder how many points I have. Because they are right.
I have a decent number of points because I did throw out for some other stuff. So
I'm going to check right now. Google Play, what's
if
my
it's
points
still
at?
going, that might be good if people are interested on that Super RAM thing. I know that's the big, like I said, big meta, big solo meta. But
meta.
Yeah.
Oh, I got 1,000 points. That's a $10 discount.
Me personally, I could probably, because as we've attested from the show, I'm pretty good about saving. Like, I until very recently, until I went freaking balls out on Space Ishtar, and then basically had nothing left. So I was like, fuck it, I'm not doing anything for a couple of months, and I spent it willy nilly. I still had paid Saint Quartz for 2 GSSRs in a row or something. I did not have to buy Saint Quartz just to get my paid GSSR for a year until I went down to literally 0. Okay, so I'm pretty good about not spending my last bit of Saint Quartz. If I had the budget, if I had a special Google Play gift card or whatever for $100 worth of Saint Quartz, I could probably sit on that paid quartz for a while. But the money is interesting because you don't have your future money now, especially for us with doing this. A lot of our money is basically monthly. It's right at the start with Patreon, or it's a couple of weeks before with Google. So, I always think about my numbers a little bit ahead of time, but I have to question out and block out a lot of my stuff on a month or several weeks basis. So I'm sure I could stick to it, but it would definitely be buying it all ahead of time would be a little awkward.
I mean, listen, I have a credit card, and I'm not afraid to spend money on it. I'm usually more concerned about how I'm going to pay the money back.
Yes. Either way, it's an important aspect of managing your money.
Yeah. Like I said, I got paid this week, and so I literally put $1,000 and something dollars, paying off my credit card. And guess what? If something happens, it's that number's just going to start going right back up again. So yes, the question is, the answer is yes, Lucky has money. But the actual question you should be asking is am I willing to spend it? Which I don't know. I have to get through a run. I have to see how much is this boy gonna tug my strings? Am I gonna be a crying wreck at the end of this? Just hitting the buy quartz button? We don't know.
Yeah, and that I think is why the pre-spending question. Obviously, I know some people are really, really dedicated to their pre-spends. They have literally used all their clairvoyance, and they know exactly what they want 2 years in advance. Even though Lucky and I have fairly advanced clairvoyance, we cover JP as it rolls out. We're not that blocked in, and so we just don't know what would happen. Especially because, sometimes they do throw curveballs at you. They have a tiny gift, Robin.
Oh, the Chatter Ryan gift. Took me a second.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's a gift with Orion's face edited on it. Two more. So this one comes from Moon is dreading Christmas because she doesn't like the Stolf boy, but tends to have insane luck with sabers, so panic. I mean, you could just not roll.
Yeah, that's very simple.
You can do events without CEs. They give you in-drop CEs for stuff.
The Superboy punching comment offends me.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure this was this was meant to be like a meme solo because the bar's not even full though. Why would you even bother? I know that like full bar comma is supposed to be a really challenging quest, but that bar's not even full. What are we doing?
Anyway, they go on to say, "Hey there, looking to make a hope you're doing well. Ever wondered what would happen if you randomly dragged into a holy grail? No, I don't.
No, I have.
They finished with not the usual kind, but the Fate Zero kind with lots of death and pain. It's like no,
that's also all the kind. They're all full of death and pain. Everybody dies, Dave. Like
no,
extra, that like 10 or 100 times as many people died in that. They're all bad. They're all bad. I think probably the best. All just battle.
Again, give me the World War II one though. I need deets.
I want to see it. Yeah.
But all the other ones that we know of, they suck. APOC suck. Strange Fake suck. Prototype suck. Stay Night suck. Unlimited Playwords suck. Heaven's Feel really suck. Zero really sucks. Fucking Prisma really sucks. Everything sucks. God, they all suck.
I'm just sitting here nodding. Yeah, APOC has a relatively low body count, but it's still not a non-zero. And to be fair, like, one whole faction, like, literally, like, 5 of those guys just got, like, Semiramis threw some, like, you know, mind-altering incense at them and be like, blah! And they just literally sat in a room for, like, 2 months or whatever the fuck, going blah, blah, blah.
There are people just being mirrored in the streets. There might be some big battles that shot off giant lasers. I'm pretty sure there's some collateral damage for years.
We don't talk about it. We covered that up. The association covered it up. What about the fields of Romania? Littered with dragon bones. Covered it up. We put them in the dragon bone hole. All right.
I'm just thinking, for the dragon bones, we just threw a little bit of dirt on them. They're going to be like earthed up in like a couple years, and it'll be a great scientific discovery. Yay! Bones! All right, but with that, we shall go on to the last one that comes from Lost in Myriad Worlds, Suna, who says, "Hey, Lucky and Mega, no questions for me this week. May the Wiggle bless your rolls, Minigal." Well, thank you, Suna. Sucks to hear about your days off being changed. We shall journey in Final Fantasy XIV anon, though. And with that, mailbag is done.
All right, we're just about to cross the hour 45 mark in raw audio.
Sick.
So that's like only a little over an hour anyway, and there was some deep faff in there. I think we did okay. So that means it is time to transitionify into Chaldea Free Talk, the freest, talkiest bit, where we have some stuff to talk with you in sequence. So first of all, let's just do this in the order we did the news, and also technically the order some of this happened. So first off, new servant deets. We do have our big brand new Ryoma and Oreo with their SSR upgrade, Lancer forms. So, sporting a new look, got the full arts, Paco just going ham.
One hand.
There's a frog in the art somewhere.
It's great. I love it.
Yeah. A lot of interesting things here. So, this new Ryoma and Oreo has the same HP as Tama Lancer, which is pretty high. I think she's like number 5 or 6 or something. It's up there. Especially considering Lancers tend to have HP weight. And an attack value which is sandwiched between Enkidu and Tama Lancer. So, it's better than some, worse than others. Have a quick Arts Buster deck with pretty high hit counts all around. I think it's 4s and everything and 5 in the extra. So, more middle-of-the-road NP game. Try not to go ham with the Arts effect. Now, the NP is pretty interesting. So, this procs a 50% defense up for 1 turn first, and NP damage for self for 3 turns first with Overcharge. And then does arts damage to all enemies. It's also only like 3 hits, so not going for like crazy loot backs, but a little bit of the like, you'll probably be able to do this a couple of times. And that 50% defense up, big. Yeah, that's a straight up you take half damage, assuming the enemy doesn't modify that number in any way. So that's pretty baller. First skill is a 10 to 20% arts, a 20 to 30% crit up, and a +1 overcharge once. For the entire party for 3 turns. So hey, remember how I said that NP up first was overcharge based? Well, there you go. This is for the whole party, and it's 1 time 3 turns, so you'll be able to utilize that. A little bit similar to Da Vinci skill, but without the party-wide NP gain. Instead, you get some odds and some crit. Second skill is a 30 to 50% battery. Who needs NP gain? Just run Golden Sumo and max skills. I'm sure that'll murder you, but in addition to the 50% battery, oh no, that's not all. It's also 3 turns of debuff immunity, and increases your buff removal resist by 50 to 100% for 3 turns.
Man, you are a rock.
Yeah, no, we're spoilers for my conclusion. Lancer Ryoma is big boy art stall strat. Like, we are going back to basics here. It's like, no, you don't understand. I don't die, you die. you think I die? No, you die. Just flat out immune to debuffs for like 3 turns. 100% buff removal resistance for 3 turns if you max out that skill, and it's a 50% battery, so you're gonna want to max it. That's a good skill. Final skill is a pretty usual double card for himself, 20-30% arts and buster for 3 turns, and also gives you 5 to 10 stars per turn. So pretty standard stuff. NP amp those buster cards if you're going for a crit strat. Passives are also pretty normal. You've got magic resistance C+, riding EX, so that 1 quick card slaps pretty good, and shapeshift Orochi, a special shapeshift, which gives you 10% critical resistance and plus 10% crit damage. So this just means that Ryoma and Oreo Lancer has a passive 10% crits just miss.
Wow.
And a little bit of the crit up. So while these skills are not particularly unique, like I said, Lancer Ryoma gives us a hard swerve back into the classic art stall style with a large HP pool. Like I said, tied with Tam Lancer. She's like 4 or 5 or something. Several arts performances to keep firing NP. Because remember, 20% team-wide, 30% self for 3 turns. That means if you use both skills, 50% arts up for 3 turns. Pretty solid. And has an overcharge-based NP up. This NP will actually slap fairly hard. And so basically you will keep firing that NP with that big defense up and a strong resistance to debuffing. So while not hyper-focused on crits, this honeymoon duo can fill that niche or can support a team who's better at that, because that is a team-wide 30% crit up and generate stars per team. So you can definitely make this work as just straight up like NP, bump and grind, or actually pivot to a crit strategy because they've got 2 buster cards. Not as unique as the first 2 servants in this Guda, but Paco does good work, and I know some of you out there will love that chunky defense buff. Some of you will love that 50%. I would say if you're talking about, somebody asked in chat, if pairing with Aresh, I would say probably not, though I do believe Aresh does have 2 buster cards, right? So you can get some synergy with the off crits, but it's definitely, I would say, because of his team-wide buffs, you probably want to go for other arts Lancers, and basically, and other arts support in general, I would say, and basically Turtle,
this sounds like a Turtle team. This is the team you pull out your Tamas, your Castorias.
Yeah, you stack Castoria and Tama with Ryoma and Oreo and just be like, I'm invincible! The man has literally 3 turns of 100% buff removal resist, and Castor Artoria has unpierceable invul. That means you have at least a turn of literally can't be harmed. The game can do nothing. I think the only thing outright in terms of stalling technically they're missing is guts, but that doesn't matter when you have a 50% defense up on your NP. Like, damn, dude. No, there's some serious turtling potential here.
I'm excited.
Pair with Jean, debuff cleanse, if those debuffs actually do stick, keep regenning more stars. And like I said, if you want to, you can use Ryoma as your off damage dealer. You can use him as the squad support to clear ads and to generate stars and NP focus on that overcharge level for some other striker, like some other single target arts Lancers. I know they exist, I just don't remember them off the top of my head, because there's 300 servants. Or is it 400 now? I don't even know. It's big. There's a few choices here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lee is a big one, single target.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe he wants stars. So yeah, you can pair these guys with a couple of ways, and like I said, you can either use them as your primary damage dealer and just grind the enemy down with that big AoE and not die.
Actually,
guys, if you haven't remembered your arts memes about your motherfucking life ends 30 turns from now.
I forgot, is the defense buff party-wide or is it single?
It is just for them. So it is not a full party-wide turtle. It's not mash tier, but it's definitely 1 turn of 50% defense up really stops that clapback.
It really does, yeah.
And let's be real, in the era of break bars, clapback is a frequent problem. There have been a lot of fights where I've been like, okay, I can do enough damage to break this bar, but then the enemy's gonna fucking murder me, so I guess this party's dead. Goodbye, guys.
Yeah, no, the instantly filling your MP and firing it is a move they pull way too often in my books.
Spoilers. It happens more in Atlantis. Not a lot, but it happens. There's a lot of fucking break bars in Atlantis.
Anyway. Yeah, no, so, actually, you guys might have, actually, I'm sorry, I don't have the document. Was that everything about Ryoma?
Yeah, that's it. That's my conclusion and my levels there.
Alright, so I'm gonna take it because I'm gonna spout some fucking cool facts to him.
Yeah.
because Lancer Roma is something that I actually found interesting because, and other people I found interesting too. Someone actually dug up a tweet on this when I was talking about it. But Lancer Roma is something that can almost be considered historically factual. Because Lancer Roma is actually based off a letter that Ryoma wrote during his honeymoon with Oreo, his actual wife, not the dragon.
Yeah, that is a bit of historical mythoprosody where they like conflated his real life wife with a dragon.
But basically during one of his trips throughout Japan, in a letter, Ryoma basically described how he found the legendary spear. I cannot think of the name off the top of my head, but basically just translate to basically heavenly jeweled spear on a mountain and took it. I don't know why he wrote this in a letter, but apparently he just found a swag ass spear in the mountains. We're like, this is clearly a mythological object, like yoink. And it has been, and this is also the same spear that Aris is using in her form. But someone actually did go out and actually look at the translations. And Roma Spear in FGO is the actual genuine article, and Arisa's has like something in this translation basically says it's modified.
Yeah, she has different kanji to indicate I believe it's been confirmed as a replica or something.
Yeah, it is a replica. But so the fact that they definitely they popped this off is actually kind of like really interesting, and I hope that Lancer Roma maybe has some interesting lines for Okita and whatnot. Because I was actually searching up my cool facts Roma. So in case you guys didn't know, how Sakamana Roma died is he was actually assassinated in his home, and at the time this was during this is actually like pre-Meiji restoration. That didn't actually kick off full swing in it, but at the time, the person who was blamed for his assassination was one Kondo Isami, who was at the time the current head of the Shinsengumi, Hijikata's and Okita's boss. And so if there's something I want to see, I just want to hear that conversation is a bit like of Roma just being like, yeah, sorry, me dying kind of ended up having your boss dying, even though it came out later that it wasn't the Shinsengumi who did it, but because people are animals, they refuse to believe it's like, no, it was totally the Shinsengumi.
There's a lot, yeah, given the Shinsengumi's position, there was a lot of stuff going on about them at the time.
Yeah, and, well, funnily enough, that wouldn't be the first time Ryoma has been involved in the assassination business. Originally, before he got on the path that he was to do, he was actually going to assassinate someone from, I can't remember the faction. Basically, the modernization faction. But, the guy, I can't remember his name, it's like 2 H's, basically showed Roma a globe and be like, yo, you see this island? This is Japan. Spins the globe. This is the rest of the fucking world. And Roma was just all like, what?
That I know has a lot of connotation in this new form, because Ryoma, I'm looking at his, you want me to look through his line list?
Oh, yeah.
I'll just throw it in the Patreon chat. If it's got spoilers, do your own spoiling. But he's got a line for Voyager.
Mm-hmm.
There is, I don't see a direct line for Okita, but has one for Majin Saber, has one for Saito Hajime, which kind of alludes to it. He's like, from the Meiji era, huh? Would like to see that one. and Orio's like, hey, sorry, and he's like, oh, I didn't mean it like that, but maybe I meant it a little like that.
But yeah, also I'm pretty sure this form is actually, Roma was a ship captain. He's actually called it the father of the Japanese Imperial Navy. Basically when conflicts were getting really strong out there, he went and bought just a fuck ton of ships. He bought it on someone's credit. I don't remember exactly who, but they're like, yeah, have a fuck ton of ships, and they basically used them to enforce some waters and whatnot. So I do think him, riding Oreo over the ocean has a lot to signify with that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, they pumped the OG welfare Roma is interesting, but they never really packed in his lore into that form. This Lancer version is just stuffed with it.
They did I would say that the classical writer version is. Well, obviously, there are the anecdotes that make the Lancer version work. The classical writer version we got is, obviously, the references to their own Guda thing. But I would say that was much more about the hey, yo, it's this guy, Sakamoto Ryoma. You've heard of him. They talk about the articles, the being on shipboard and stuff, the charisma and so on. But it's still very grounded. You even see that in his very modern costume design, whereas the Lancer is like, yeah, let's uncap the lore. We've already talked about the spear thing. We've been dropping hints and things to people, We've been talking about the power of, audio and stuff, and, let's bust that one out there.
Oh yeah, First Ascension makes him look like a ship captain. Yeah, they're definitely referencing his time aboard ships and whatnot. I'm not gonna lie, I think I'm gonna have to roll for this guy. I really am. I'm like, Guda has slayed me once again. I'm all like, oh no, sweet historical Japanese figures, how dare! My weakness! Oh god, 2023 is gonna be murder for my wallet.
Now I hunt to see translations. If anybody did the... Oh, here we go. Here's a profile translation on Oku. A lines translation internet that is not in a video that I... No offense, as a YouTube guy, I don't want to watch whatever SEO ad rev optimization somebody has done for doing, dialogue videos on YouTube. It looks like it's just a profile translation. But alright. Was that the extent of your Sakamoto facts, TM?
Yeah, pretty much. I think I hit all the big ones. There's a bunch of little stuff like the schools of because he actually studied in several weapons schools as well, but I think that's more side fluff than anything. There's the whole thing about, the Sacho Alliance, but I don't know actually how much they actually touch on that in Guda.
Yeah.
Because that was the big thing, is he got two basically rival factions to team up against the Tokugawa shogunate, so they can try and because the thing about the Meiji Restoration, it wasn't that so much that they wanted to overthrow the government, they just wanted the government to stop being fucking pansies to the global powers.
Yeah. Japan got bullied very hard by the Black Ships and Commodore Perry.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, fuck, what do we do? And some people were like, I don't know, we should, have some pride. We exist.
And because
obviously you could say that in some cases that pride went very far, because that was Japan,
that's what led
the Japanese imperial period, completely overturned, and like they went balls to the wall with like, this modern thing you call naval warfare. Teach me about this, sidle up to good old Britain and be like, cool boats. Yeah. You do this boat thing? I do this boat thing. Oh shit, I have a lot of boats.
Yeah, no.
Hey, now that we have a lot of boats, what if we just took all that stuff over the ocean? Just Japan shouting out in the greater Asian co-prosperity sphere, just shouting out, Gibbs! I call dibs on that!
Yeah, they went from imperial to really ultra-nationalistic. It was a thing.
And then, then Uncle Sam is like, hold on, what'd you call dibs on? Somebody lives there already, buddy.
Mine! Oh no. But, so, I think that's it for Roma Facts TM.
Alright, we've crossed the 2-hour mark in the raw audio. I would like to take another short intermission and get up and walk around, because now I have to do the Lostbelt 5 Pre-game. So, let's take that quick break. And if you guys are listening to this in a non-mobile format, you also take a quick break. Get up, walk around, do some other stuff. Alright, unpaused, and we're back. I am slightly warmer. I have my window open because I've been kind of like stuffy and a little sinusy over the past couple of days, and I'm like, maybe I need some fresh air in here, and it does seem to help by opening my window, even though it's cold outside. It's 59 degrees. And some of you may be like, that's not cold, and I'm like, listen, last month it was like 80 degrees. Okay? 59 is cold. Alright? We're not here to talk about the cold, we're here to talk about the warm, sunny, tropical waters of Atlantis. Because it is time to give you one of our famous pre-games where we will break down the stuff in a new story or event. Obviously, this will be a little less tight than some event stuff, because then we usually talk about like store rewards and like all the different ways you can get your angle on stuff you need. This is mostly just a walkthrough of the story content, so you know roughly how long you're in for if you need to budget your time these holidays. I know not everybody has the ability to go ham and beat an entire story chapter in one evening or whatever. Go nuts on the no sleep. But you may want to make sure to clear this out of your schedule and see your relative difficulty level. Do you need to do some leveling up now? You've got free embers. Do you need to work on some stuff? Let's figure that out. So it's time for pregame for Lostbelt 5, Ancient Ocean of the Dreadnought Gods, Atlantis, with the subtitle, The Day the Gods Are Shot Down. If you don't get that reference, play Extella. Or watch me play Extella. The whole Let's Play is on this channel somewhere. Somewhere in there. It's like 4 years old. So, if you're new here, if you don't know this about this Lostbelt, even though we've said it a couple of times already in this show, I should warn you, this is technically only half of the Lostbelt 5 storyline. Usually we just call it Atlantis, Lostbelt 5.1, or Part 1. The second half, Olympus, is coming out in a few months. We may have ruined that cliffhanger for you, but it's hard not to know that already in this community, and I warned you about spoilers, dog. I warned you. Now, get ready for this, everybody. Buckle up, patrons in the patron chat. Buckle up, audience at home. Buckle up, Lucky. Despite the fact that this is only the front half, you notice my voice went up there. This has more chapters than any Lostbelt that has come out yet. So, get the fuck ready. This has a prologue and 26 numbered chapters. This is going to be a big one. For comparison, I believe Lostbelt 4 capped out at 20. I think Lostbelt 1 was like the longest at like 22 or 23 previously. This is like I said, this is fucking 26. With a prologue, right? It's long, and this is only half of it. So, buckle the fuck up. And guess what? There's a lot of no battle pips in here, so you better be ready to read. Oh, I hope you don't got anything to do. So, for completing the story, you will obtain a 26 total Saint Quartz, a Holy Grail, and a Story CE, with an additional 9 more Saint Quartz being available in free quests. So not a lot of new free quests in this, only 9 maps, but there's more Saint Quartz there, and it's very important in there. And you get your big infusion from the main event. I know some people are kind of sad sometimes when like Lostbelt 3, for instance, was only 18 chapters and also only had like 8-ish free quests. It wasn't even a full 10 roll, you know. But for this, you will get at least 1 10 spin if you do all the free quests and all the actual story content. So, to support you on this big, long, big, fat quest, you will have several major story supports to go with you, including Charlotte Corday, Super Orion. By the way, this is in the rough listing of how soon they start appearing, semi-randomly. But you'll notice Super Orion's up there pretty fast. He comes in for a lot of this. Mandricardo, Black Bart, Jason, Chiome, Achilles, and Paris. So Mandricardo and Super Orion are obviously new for this event. But, you'll notice there's a lot of our new bronze boys and girls on this list. This is some of their first major appearance, and also lets you know how far ahead Nasu and the like are planning. So yeah, you get to actually hang out with characters like Charlotte Corday, Jason, and Paris in this. Got a nice smattering of here. As per the usual, expect to fight a few of these guys during the story for various reasons, as you do, you know? Whether you gotta test your strength, or it's a training match, or just somebody gets snippy, or possibly you're betrayed and left for dead. You never know. You never know with FGO. So, this is a new story release. You know what that means. New mats. Now, first of all, thank your lucky stars. No new bronze mat. Just a gold and silver. You'll be looking for comet shards and silver crowns, respectively. So, comet shards are obtainable from a new mini-boss type mob, Cerberus, or Kerberos. And who the fuck knows? They may actually spell it Kerberoy. I don't actually know. Obviously, I'm working off, translated from the JP angle, but occasionally I do go with the more classically Greek romanization. Yeah, sunstones. The comet shards are called comet shards because they look like comets, not because you can sell them for a lot of money. Pokemon jokes, everybody. So the Cerberus mob appears as a rider mostly. You do want to watch out for this one. It has the ability to inflict party-wide NP seal, and has an NP which also inflicts burn and spreading fire on an AoE. This is a huge, demonic, and beast enemy, in case you couldn't guess. Now, silver crowns are dropped by a new mass market mob. You love to see them. The Atlantis Defense Troopers. They come in Sabercaster, Assassin, and Berserker forms. There's nothing really interesting about them other than that you should know that they are Greek human male enemies. So have fun with that.
Oh boy.
You will be punching a lot of them. The main story and the free quest seem to favor the Berserker form, but like I said, there are Sabercaster and Assassin forms as well. Yes, Penth will just punch all of them. You will also find many other opportunities to get in there and punch. Like I said, some versions of these are sabers, so if you haven't dusted out your Raleigh in a while. There is another new enemy type you will encounter, the new Lancer-class enemy, the Wide Area Annihilation Ordnance. It is a giant floating ball of death.
Sounds terrifying, yes.
As a skill, it can inflict buff block, and has an NP, which removes your buffs.
Why?
Because I hate you, says FGO. Die. Die, says the death ball. They do not drop a new mat, they drop an old mat. They drop cores, so yes, you'll have an opportunity to get some cores out of Atlantis and Olympus as well. These guys don't have any fun traits you can work with. Later, they have the mechanical trait, but that's Mysterious Idol X's thing, so you don't get to work with that for like a year and a half. So these are just big boy Lancer balls. They shoot beams. They're sabers? I don't know. Now, buckle up for this, guys. You will also be encountering a wide variety of mobs. You be on the lookout for demon boars, including the large kind, sphinxes, poison lizards, the Krishat Komodo dragon, Mushushu variant. Fucking werewolves are back. That's right. With the subtitle Lycanthropos, you will need to fight sea demons under the name Charybdis. But there's many of them, so it's sea demons, and enemy guys. You'll have to fight many giant enemy crabs, centaurs, wyverns, autonomous weapons, and hecking springans, but also new paint jobs for Lamias, Chimeras, and Hydras. They should have all the same stats, but they have slightly different, trait qualities and new sprites. I don't know what the translation will be, but in the translation from JP, unofficially they are called Origin Lamia, Origin Chimera, Origin Hydra, which makes sense. They are the originals. By the way, fair warning, a lot of enemies in this chapter have a special in-map buff, which is translated from the Greek as Divine Legacy. It's basically the divinity without actually giving you the trait or the passive. They take less and deal more damage. So most of these enemies are pretty manageable. I've seen a couple of mob mini-boss waves with 1k, 1.5k HP, or 100, I should say, 100 and 150. The big numbers. But some of them are perfectly reasonable. The main thing is that you may be hitting weaker than you think you'll be hitting, because these enemies have basically a damage cut. And my next bullet point is, yes, Lostbelt 5 is a goddamn zoo. I feel like they dug up every weird or underused mob type to throw at you again that was, vaguely Greek. Fucking crabs, sea demons, werewolves. God. Jesus.
Next, they're going to be throwing Jesus at you.
Common traits? No, I don't know if enemies have, actually straight up have Divine because of the extra. There are a decent number of dragons and beasts, though, in this list. So, Sigurd and Siegfried can do some work, anything like that. I suspect a lot of enemies are the sky or heaven attribute, depending on how you want to translate it. So keep an eye for that. But no, there's the commonality traits on your boys to look out for is that the Atlantis Defense Troopers are Greek males, obviously, and are humans and humanoids. And the Cerberuses are huge beasts and demonic. So, let us talk bosses. We have a few. Most are Greekly. I'll be skipping a few names here and there, but there are some I will tell you straight up. But, spoilers. We'll give you a little bit of spoiler padding. Just let you know the classes and stuff. One name I can give you, though, is Being the Enemy Cryptor Servant. I believe she's advertised even in the bits. Canis will be showing up a few times. She's a Lancer. And she has a tendency to pack an invul, forcing you to stall for a couple of turns until the final fight you do, where you have a Super Orion NPC buddy who will be able to disrupt this buff and let you actually shave off her last couple HP bars. These are all in about the 250k range. Excuse me. And as her bars break, she'll get buffs like extra charging in P every turn, ignoring defense, and increasing attack. And I think on her last bar, she just straight up goes to max NP. Because fuck you, I guess. Now, there is an infamous hopeless battle with a caster boss who has a whopping 5 HP bars. I believe this is the first time we see this HP bar color. Yeah, it's four break bars and then the last one. Goes to yellow or green, whatever the highest color is. These break bars are 600k, 800k, 1.1 million, 1.1 million again, and then 1.3 million HP each.
Jesus.
This is, like I said, it's a hopeless fight. You are not supposed to be able to finish this one other than the way they want you to finish this one. This caster boss has Pierce Invul, Pierce Defense. They are immune to mental debuffs and prevent you from receiving buffs for 5 turns on start. And after 4 turns, they fire an NP and wipe your front party, immediately ending the battle. You don't even have to live. It's just fucking over. Some people have managed to cheese this one, but in general, this is just, fuck you, I guess. It's a big deal in story. If you don't know who it is, I won't say, but keep this in mind. So there is an interesting ruler boss. You have to break their first HP bar, but they do a special thing where they nullify all forms of class advantage, so all damage is times 1. I believe this is even damage on themselves as a ruler, so it's kind of a fun little sporting thing. But just keep it in mind. There are several Cerberus boss variants. They have buffs such as regen or stun immunity, and they have a pretty consistent as a boss version buff, not just the mob version, to give themselves 1 hit of invul for 1 turn every turn at the end, so, watch out for your damage reduction or bring Pierce invul. Honestly, bring Pierce invul anyway. There's a lot of invulnerabilities in this. Their HP is broken up over a couple of bars, so usually something like 300k-ish twice or like 100k-ish thrice. Just remember, they are a rider, keep it in mind. And remember, assassins do have Pierce invul. I'll probably take Shiki for these fights. There is an assassin boss fight, which will feature 3 200k-ish HP bars. They have increased card performance and some damage reduction permanently, and as you break their bars, they will do a debuffing thing, which will increase their insta-kill chance, so they have an insta-kill effect on them. And it will, in turn, though, reduce their NP damage. So you gotta watch out for instant death, but don't have to worry about jobbing out to NP as much. You will fight quite a few archer boss fights with special buffs. A few of these are endurance battles, where you have to live for 5 turns, and you are armed with an NPC Achilles who has a guts. Don't die. Now here's the big one. The final boss of the Lostbelt is fought in 3 phases. I will not say what they are, but they are not a tree. Because I don't even know if we see this fucking tree in 26 chapters, okay guys? But, the final boss is fought in 3 phases over 3 separate pips. And each time it has a different class. The order goes Caster, Assassin, Lancer. Lancer is the final one. In all forms, the boss charges extra NP per turn and does bonus damage to star-type servants, so watch out for that one. As you go through each battle, it will unlock more of its skills until the boss displays 3 skills. Its first one is a debuff clear and debuff immunity for, I think, 3 times 3 turns, and a team heal. The second one is sacking damage or defense ups for giving your party NP gen down. And then the third one is amping NP damage and giving 2 hits 3 turns of invul. So again, remember your Pierce invul. And the NP is an AoE which reduces your NP gauge by 20% and steals your stars. This is not necessarily a real motherfucker of a boss, but it's very annoying. And of course, many buffs and debuffs will fire as you break the bars, and this boss has adds in all 3 fights, so look out for that. The boss is divine and large. So, if you got him, Arthur can work in that last one against the Lancer, give him that super large damage bonus, shit like that. It's kind of sad that Nemo is not permanent until literally next year. Because I think guess what? In the area called Atlantis, the thing about the Dreadnought God Ocean, most of these battlefields are water. It's a terrible shame you will probably have already done that content long ago by the time the Nemo drops. But yeah, like I said, none of these bosses are quite as crazy hard as Olympus is supposed to be, but there are some motherfuckers in here. And like I said, much like we experienced with Saber Wars 2, there's a decent number of these fights where you're supposed to hold on for so many turns. So watch out for that. It's a mob battle, but there is a special battle. I didn't put it in my notes originally, but I will say it now. There is a special battle where you have 5 enemies and 1 phase, so they have 3 enemies on screen and they're replaced by 2 more enemies. In 5 turns, you have to kill all the enemies. Ooh. You auto lose. So you have to basically kill 1 enemy a turn, or you lose the map and have to start over. So there's a little bit of playing around. In general, also, you will occasionally have to put MASH in the front of the party, and you will have to perform more forced story NPCs or even NPC solo battles, where you just have the story NPC in your team. And this will include some battles where even if you get your full team comp, you cannot use master skills or seals. I think the idea is that you'll be doing a lot of choices where you are splitting your party and doing a lot of things at once. Also, by the way, even though I talked about a shitload of bosses and battles and mobs and stuff, there are just as many no battle pips as battle pips, if not more. Like, there are a lot of nodes which are like, there's like a chapter where there's like 2 no battle pips, battle pip. 2 no battle pips, 2 battle pips, stuff like that. No battle pip, no battle pip, So, there's a lot of reading, there's a lot of work. There's a very interesting and fun aspect I will slightly spoil, but just so you guys know. At a certain point, you will be chosen to pick whether Super Orion or Achilles should go first and focus on the enemies. This results in 2 completely different quests. If you pick Achilles, the enemies are casters, and if you pick Super Orion, the enemies are sabers, I believe. So basically, you pick whichever one you want to go with, and you run a solo fight or a forced story battle fight with them against what they're good at. So sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not. There are, of course, story-related buffs you will get. For instance, in the last phase of the final boss during the Lancer match, you will get like random buffs. During other fights, you will get randomized buffs. So there's the usual stuff. Hopefully, it won't be too hard. Take a break, relax. No, you don't have to worry about clearing this Lostbelt for anything for a little bit. You've got months until the second half comes out. So, if you start to edge up on the lotto and you're like, you're not done, you can take a break. It's okay. But keep your eye out for this stuff. Sorry, I was just double-checking my audio recording. Okay, it's fine. It looked like it stalled out, but I think it was just because I was completely paused while waiting. Now, since this is a new story release, there will be 2 banners, of course, though, interestingly enough, the second banner is all reruns. The first one is the big one. You were looking at new limited SSR Archer Super Orion, or technically Superhuman Orion. We'll see how they decide to translate that one. And permanent SSR Rider Europa, as well as another new permanent Rider, rare, 3-star, Mandricardo. So this is Mandricardo's debut. He was shown in one of the Lostbelt trailers, basically 2 years ago now. Jeez, guys, it's been 2 years. Also on rotation in the 4-star slot is Chiyome, if you missed her. And there are brand new CEs as well. This is still in the time period where everything is APOC themed for some reason. But there's some new CEs that'll be unlocked. Lucky will like the 3-star CE. It gives you plus 25% crit damage on arts cards.
Would like that, yes.
Yeah, there's a few more. There's like an Amakusa and a Darnik CE. Some stuff out there. Now, the second banner, which should proc about a week later, is Achilles, Estrella, and Hector. It is not super exciting. Those guys are all permanent and not new. But it does also involve the release of Hector's rank up. His tactics will upgrade to also give your party damage cut and be nice round numbers. So that's pretty cool. I do believe Hector's animation update has... Well, no, Super Orion was in the trailer. He didn't get a special cutout. Mandricardo is like, the new Lostbelt Rider. This guy. Nobody knows who the fuck he is. Super Orion was like hinted in like the old OP trailer. But anyway, I was asking chat. I believe Hector has already gotten his animation update because we get a lot of those early. But this was when Hector's animation update happened in JP. But I think we've already got it because we get a lot of those things. But the rank up should be good. But it's a little bit lean for the pregame. But Atlantis definitely has a strong feeling of loads and loads of story. Like I said, there's so many no battle pips, guys, and it just has a lot of battles that are just waves of mooks. So get ready for your endurance run. You got 26 chapters to clear. You got to be ready to read, and you got to be ready to do the punch-up. Like I said, most of these bosses shouldn't be too troublesome, and the very least you should be able to, pivot and come up with some mechanics. You'll have some aid for some of this stuff, and like I said, some of these are just, hopeless, so hold on. But you are going to buckle up to see a wide variety of mobs you have not seen in a while, and encounter many new things. And honestly, like I said, a couple of those new mobs are kind of fuckers. Like I said, the Cerberus as a mob, just having a skill that's party-wide NP seal. Ugh. The fact that the wide area ordnance is just like, oh yeah, I can inflict buff block on a single target as a skill. Fuck you. And I'm like, alright, cool, great. I love it. So, there's some stuff here. It'll be pretty interesting. Like I said, this is not the motherfucker that Olympus is supposed to be, but Atlantis should have a decent amount of challenge. If you're looking at like map types, like I said, almost everything is water. And you're going to have a lot of interesting things going on, and hopefully it'll be a good time. Or it won't. Maybe it'll be a bad time. But we'll be talking about it in any case. I would like to let everybody know, in case you are new here and don't know how we work, basically what you can expect from us is next week's show, we will do first impressions, so we will talk about, because it'll be, a couple of days-ish since the event came out, though obviously it'll be debuting in the middle of the night again. But we'll have some first impressions in that show, but we won't go full spoilers, even if somehow we've been lunatics with nothing else to do and we've beaten all 26 chapters in 3-ish days. Not even 3 full days. I don't think so.
No. At best, I'll probably be half. At best.
Yeah, no, 26 chapters with a lot of fucking reading. No, I don't think by the evening of the 3rd of December we'll be done with 26.
I know some of you will, but also know some of you are animals and or monsters.
Yes. I just, like I said, the fucking maintenance isn't going to end until 3 o'clock in the morning for me, probably. And we don't have a full day. We don't even have a full day on the 3rd anyway. So it's it's really 2 days. So we won't be that far. We'll have first impressions. We'll have seen some of the new characters. We'll have seen some of the story stuff. But that probably means that presumably, though, by almost 2 full weeks later, by the 10th, 10 days later, that show we will probably be done and caught up, and we will do our full deep dive, and the show will be 9 hours long, and you can be ready for our thoughts and feelings. Though, actually, it might not be that long. I mean, it'll be long, but I don't know if it'll actually be super, super long, because a lot of our thoughts will probably be split up like the Lostbelt itself, There's only so much story to talk about. We probably won't get conclusive, thoughts on Wodaime as a character and other stuff that he's got going on. We won't even meet some of the fucking characters that appear in Atlantis later, so it'll be interesting. But if you're not caught up by the 10th, you may have a bad time from us. Spoilers. I'm also going to guess probably that means that the 10th should probably be the Christmas Lotto pregame as well. Just because I suspect we're going to be back-to-back. Let me jot the calendar down. The 10th. So, assuming that it starts... Let's see. So it would start assume the Lostbelt starts the 1st. That means that the actual, like, campaign lasts the full 2 weeks and is done on the 15th. So if we started on, like, the 16th or 17th, we could have the full 2 days. That would take us well past Christmas by the time the Lotto is over. Yeah, so it'll probably start shortly after. I don't think they'll take a week off. Because remember, at New Year's, we have a rerun of Sparrow Inn.
Yes.
With banners. But yeah, so that's going to be Lostbelt 5, part the first, Atlantis. I hope it'll be fun. It looks really interesting. I definitely like the feel. There seems to be a lot of, just reading through some of the profiles for some of the battles and stuff, there seems to be a lot of, like, escalation. Like, once you get into, like, the 3rd act, it seems like the 3rd section, there are some fights where, like, you're picking from, like, fucking 7 or 8 story supports. So, like, you're gonna get a little bit of a trailing cast with you, so hopefully we got some interest in there, and there'll be, like I said, plenty of reading.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, wasn't this one written by Nasu?
I believe so. If we don't know, there's some wiggle room. I would say that, given what we know about Nasu's themes and his own peculiarities about the Greek gods, I would say he definitely had to have heavily influenced it.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because he has thoughts and feelings about the Greek gods.
I mean,
right.
I'm not going to say nothing, but
yeah.
Guys, the episode is called Ancient Ocean of the Dreadnought Gods. You know, you guys can take that one however you want. That's not a normal way you talk about gods, though.
Let's see, what is the...
Yeah, I don't know where the etymology for the name came from, but we usually use Dreadnought to refer to the HMS Dreadnought, which was one of the first armored cruisers.
Mm-hmm. The battleship.
Which, it redefined the naval strategy for the next, few decades.
Literally set up, like, ships after it were called Dreadnoughts, and the ships before it were just pre-Dreadnought. That's how... Yeah. I'm trying to look up the etymology on it. I'm just like...
Let me actually see. HMS Dreadnought, 1906. Oh, okay, so it literally means Dreadnought, which means fear nothing. It was the 6th Royal Navy ship to bear the name. But yeah, so that means that the HMS Dreadnought from 1906 is the one that is why we think of Dreadnought in that context. But yeah, there's going to be some interesting fights. Some heartbreakers, some smooth takers. Lots of ocean. Lots of mobs. So many mob men. But yeah, hopefully we have a fun time, and if we don't have a fun time, well, we don't have a fun time. Mm-hmm. And remember, you do get a Grail and a story CE for both this part and the next part. So, yeah. One of the things I'm most interested in is the translation, because a lot of terms were given on the wiki were given, like, they were called their Greek names, and then they showed the kanji, which included both pronunciation and then the actual terminology for a literal translation. So I'll be interested to see how FGO English goes around that. Like, will they keep a lot of the Greek angle, or will they go more literally because they can't really do the, like, subtitle thing to let you know the meaning translation of the words as well as the pronunciation, you know? So we could just have a lot of shit be in Greek that we don't know.
Yeah.
Which just means more surprises for you. Okay. That's the pregame. We've crossed the 2.5 hour mark. So if I'd had the time to write it, we'd definitely have time to add the Teach Me. But I need extra time to research. And, it's a holiday weekend, okay? So there is one thing that we will be doing, which is I'm going to go ahead and dig up my notes for Fanservant Friday, because those notes are all written well ahead of time. I'm reasonably certain it's Tam Lin, but I'm going to double check because it's been about a week since I looked at it. So I was not logged in on Patreon. Let me log back in so I can check my own tags and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, okay. Tam Lin Lancer was the winner. I believed that to be the case, but, it never hurts to double check. So let me pull those up now. All this dead air will get cut out of the final product. That's okay.
Yay!
Very good at cutting out dead air. Our sprawl session, the raw video you captured is like 5 hours, but when I edited out all the silence and the scritch, breathe noises, it was like 4.5 hours. Literally lost half an hour of just dead air. Humans are great.
Yeah, that still means that's like 1 minute out of what? 6?
Something like that?
Actually, I'm curious now. Let's see if it was 5 hours.
There are 10 half hours, so it was 1 out of 10.
Oh, it was 1 out of 10 minutes.
Yeah, something like that.
What is math?
Well, we're not good at it.
Nope.
So, let's talk about Tam Lin. which has this is a original to the British Isles mythology.
Yes.
So that means that there's about 50 different spellings of this, all on the same layer. Wikipedia itself, for instance, talks about Thomas Lin, Tam Lin, as in one word, Tambling, Tomlin, Tam Lin, Tamaline, Tam Lin with a Y, and Tam Lane with an A. So, as you know, English is a lot of wiggly-woggly. Got a lot of variables. This is a traditional ballad of the Scottish borders. It is associated with a type of folk dance as well, so there's a dance component. And it's got some major topographical indexes. It's actually indexed as one of the traditional child ballads of England and Scotland, and it's in the Road Folk Song Index. There is also an OSP about this. Though I was familiar with the Tam Lin myth myself, it was a good reference point for some of the story structure if you want to review. The short version, actually, I can say why I know about Tam Lin already. It was brought up in Dresden Files for reasons. But the Tam Lin story, the high level, very simple. In the borders of Scotland, the reaches, there is a magical fairy forest called Carterhaugh. It's a real actual wood, by the way. And there's a rumor that any maiden who goes through the forest will lose her virginity, because Tam Lin will take it. Why we start our legend with, yo, there's a fairy dude fucking maidens in the forest? I don't know. I don't ask these questions, okay? We get our female protagonist, our heroine here, who is usually called Janet or Margaret. And she's a spunky lass, so she goes to the forest, plucks a rose that summons Tam Lin, and, they have a little bance. Her father owns the surrounding. He's the surrounding lord, so he technically owns the land, but Tam Lin's like, haha, that's not how that works. And, so back and forth, some stuff happens. In most versions of the story, Janet goes back home, and then she discovers she's pregnant, and she's not shy. She's like, yo, my baby daddy's a fucking elf, dude. And she's like, no, I'm not going to give up my magical elf baby. So when she goes back to the forest, for various reasons, depending on the telling, calls up Tam Lin, and she's just like, hey, baby daddy, we got a problem. And they go through the whole thing. She asks if he was human, and he reveals that he used to be a mortal man. He fell from his horse and was caught and captured by the Queen of the Fairies, who is unnamed, by the way. She is just called the Queen of the Fairies. He explains he's got a problem. Every 7 years, the fairies give one of their people as a tithe to hell. Christianization was very interesting with existing fairy tale mythology. And Tam is a little concerned that he's going to be next on the chopping block, because the night of that tithe is Halloween.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It is an association with the All Hallows Eve. He is supposed to ride in a party of elven knights. So, basically, he concocts a classic fairy tale plan. A get-out-of-hell free trick. So, he's going to be riding on a white horse. Janet will recognize him by the horse and the other signs. She is supposed to rescue him by pulling him from his horse, so she will catch him this time and hold him tight. And the fairies will try and make her ditch him by turning him into all kinds of beasts. And then, and by the way, sometimes this is like a surprise, sometimes this is not, but the general idea is he basically says, listen, I'm going to transform into a bunch of stuff, and then when I transform into a burning coal, throw me in a well, and then I'll be normal. And basically Janet does all of that stuff, they go through all the bits, and at the end, the Queen of the Fairies is angry, but, he won the bet fair and square, so they, get to go on their reading. So there's a lot of interesting back and forth there. It's a fairly classic, fairy story. Bewitched by the Queen of the Fairies, gotta rescue. It is, like I said, very forward-thinking and honestly unapologetic of Janet. She just rolls up to the forest for a booty call and is like, no, it's my magic elf, baby. I'll decide what to do with it. And stands to the Queen of the Fairies. So there's a lot of good stuff there. So Tam Lin, I have decided, is a Lancer. We don't have enough Lancers. And he's a fairy knight. We can work on some stuff here. So Tam Lin, Lancer, lawful neutral. Figured that works for a fairy knight. So core stats, as you do, strength B, endurance B, agility A+, Lancers are fast, boy. Magic power or mana B, luck D, Lancers have bad luck. And I mean, the dude got pulled off his horse by the Queen of the Fairies, so. Or, Technically, he might have fallen off on his own and gotten caught. Either way, bad luck, dude. Bad luck. NPC. Class skills, magic resistance A+. He is a magical fairy knight. Writing C+, and also territory creation B. I'll explain why later, but I think this is one of those cases where we tuck another class skill in here and give him territory creation. Had a couple of funs with the skills. First of all, personal skills, Fairy Eyes B. Mystic eyes that give you the ability to perceive fairies. Thank you, Case Files, for making this up and making this a thing. So, naturally, as a changeling, he was a human who joined the ranks of the Elven Knights. He would probably have to have something, so I figured, Mystic Eyes to see the fairies. Also, Fairy Eyes are referenced in other places as having specialized magic circuits to perceive high-speed information and high-speed movements. So, I figured this would be a good skill for a Lancer to have. Perceive fairies and other elementals who are normally invisible, and also, high-speed perception of subtle things. Probably like a sure hit effect, and maybe a card type buff, like a quick up or a arts up. Definitely go for the sure hit, though. You can see what is unseen. There's another one here. Personal skill Mail C. I spelled this male as in Maile. Fancy spelling of male. So Tam Lin's arms and armor are of fairy make. He is a knight of the Queen of the Fairies. So his spear and his armor are not legendary items. They're not like famous enough to be noble phantasms, but he would definitely be kitted out in some magical fairy gear. So basically, they're a little bit like specialized mystic codes. Tam Lin can supply his arms and armor with magical energy to increase their defensive and offensive properties. So as a servant, he gets a skill. Also, this gives him his high magic resistance. This would probably be, like maybe a def up. You could also go with the mana burst and have this be your card steroid. There's a couple of different ways you could take this, but I just think we have a lot of modern and historical fiction about the fairies making arms and armor and stuff that are just better. So I figured it'd be nice to throw in there. And you got to assume if this kid's chilling with the Queen of the Fairies retinue, he's got to be pretty cool, right? Final personal skill Morph C++ Curse subtype. So the ability to change forms, but granted as a curse, because there's a lot of shapeshifting curses out there. And similar to the legend of Proteus, who was a fish guy who could transform into all kinds of forms and had to be captured. I believe Herc had to pin him down, but somebody else might have. He went through a lot of forms. So when Janet goes to rescue him from the wild hunt, he's allegedly transformed into a wild variety of animal shapes that she must hold. So he can change his form and obtain beast-like aspects, but he's also vulnerable to elemental curses and not always in control. So this could be like a skill that has a powerful aspect but of a demerit, like maybe give him stars per turn and crit strength up, but be accompanied with a debuff resist effect, similar to old school Innocent Monster, but probably a little more balanced, not all downside, stuff like that. Or it could be skipped entirely because I've actually given our boy Tam Lin 2 Noble Phantasms.
Yes.
So we'll do the first one first. The first one is Enchanted Forest, Fairy Forest of Carterhaw B, an anti-world Noble Phantasm. So Carterhaw is a haunted forest that's on the Scottish borderlands. It's said to be his domain, Tam Lin the Fairy Knight. It's where he meets Janet. It's a big part of the story, and it's fucking name dropped. We know where Carterhaw is. It's a literal forest that is people can point you and go, oh yeah, that'd be Carterhaw up there. That's the magical haunted fairy forest, which is pretty cool, and I think works for mystery. So basically, this Noble Phantasm is ability of Magecraft to replicate a place of the past inhabited by elemental spirits. He draws a fairy ring on the ground with his spear, because fairy rings are cool, and immediately the texture of the world is overwritten with a replica of Carterhaw as appears in myth. Basically, he can project a big bounded field that will keep up magical entities, though humans can just walk in, because that's how we know. Humans can just roll up into the place. In certain tellings, Tam Lin is supposed to, appear in the forest almost by magic, so through way of displacement Magecraft, while he's got the bounded field up, he can move anywhere inside the forest. He can conceal his presence almost perfectly, and the land automatically supplies him with magical energy as if he's an elemental, even though he was born and died as a human, hence why he can be recorded as the Throne of Heroes, because Tam Lin was a guy and goes back to being a guy by the end of the myth.
That makes sense.
However, because this is an echo of the past, this can only be replicated for a short period of time, so the world would eventually grind it down, and if there was an elemental as your enemy, anybody associated with the domain of the fairies, they would also be made stronger by this place, because it's a fucking fairy forest. This is basically similar to how Nero's Noble Phantasm works, the Golden Theater. It is not a reality marble per se, because what Tam Lin is doing is through the power of, Big Boy Servant Magecraft he is replicating the conditions of Carter Hall Forest in the time of myths, but Carter Hall is still real, right?
Oh, yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not a reality marble containing, like, a world that doesn't exist or something completely outside the realm of the world. It's like, no. He is replicating a historical thing that was real and empowering it with its legends. The world still doesn't like it, and he still can't do it forever, but it gives him some extra abilities. I don't know for sure if this would be his primary Noble Phantasm if he was, like, a playable servant. It is definitely a little more to the normal version of the legend, but you could also work it out as just like, hey, I've been telling you we need a skill that turns the battlefield to forest. Here it is,
Yeah, you're
Turn
right.
the battlefield to forest for like 3 turns, give him some buffs, maybe give his team some buffs. Maybe like crit resistance or something. I don't know.
Who else has the forest tag?
That is Taiga's thing, I believe, is her skills are forest tied, which is very funny because there aren't that many. Babylonia is only like 30% forest. But yeah, Jaguar Warrior has some forest tags. They may have brought it back for some other characters, but I don't think so. But let's talk about the other one, because y'all know this one. This is another OSP drink queue. His other NP is Wild Hunt, Parade of Demonic Fairy Knights.
Yeah.
An elemental type Noble Phantasm. I spelled Wild Hunt with a Y, by the way.
Oh.
So, y'all probably know the basic ideas of the Wild Hunt, but it is an incredibly variable myth. It is a literal typological myth. I don't remember the like folklore typology code, but it's there. It has so many names, I have listed them in my notes. It is known as the Procession of the Damned, the Hunting Party of Hell, the Hunters of Diana, the Ride of Asgard, the Night Ones, the Holy Company, the Fairy Road, and the Wandering Knights of the Fairy Queen. And this is obviously that last one. The Wild Hunt has many names and shapes. They are procession of spirits, some be they elementals, wraiths, or even divine spirits. They appear on certain nights with the sound of hooves and thunder. Anybody they catch will be dragged to the afterlife. So basically, it's noted here, Tam Lin is holding a fairy horn. If he blows the horn he holds, he can call the Wild Hunt, because he led the Wild Hunt in that procession. So he is a leader of the Wild Hunt and can summon them forth. They appear with him leading them on a white horse, and they've come to claim a soul the tithe to hell. So an army of 100 fairy knights on black steeds with horn helms, with the power of an incarnate elemental, roll across the land and sky like thunder, accompanied by black dogs. Once again, shout out to Case Files for making black dogs more canon. Also, we've got Bargus now, but still, we know black dogs are real. Their presence is a powerful curse. Some who see them may literally die. Tam Lin actually tells Janet in some versions, hey, the Wild Hunt's gonna be real? Don't look at anything but my white horse, okay? You'll die.
Please don't die.
They can even pose a risk to his own master, but Tam Lin can protect his master by cladding them in his green cloak. This was also to the myth. He threw his cloak around Janet because it was fairy make and be like, you'll be fine. The Wild Hunt won't notice you. Wear this cloak. So, yeah, this is probably a single target, but could be let's say it's a single target quick, that would have an insta-kill chance. Because the parade of the Wild Hunt could just literally whisk you off to hell as the tithe. Bye! It's like how the fucking Benkei's Noble Phantasm is supposed to work. They just suck you off to Ardhot. Only this time you're getting dragged to hell by fairy knights. They're probably like stronger at night, but weaker during the day. And they just appear.
That's definitely not how I want to go. Shit.
You don't want an army of 100 fairy knights with black dogs on, black horses to come whisk you away and see, like, you're going to hell, motherfucker. Bye.
No.
The fairy queen is in the lead and is just like, yeah, no. The Wild Hunt's a motherfucker. I think I have a couple of characters who use the Wild Hunt because it's so archetypal. I love the Wild Hunt myth. But yeah, this was my thoughts on the primary. And like I said, I think if this was an FGO servant, this would be the key one, is you'd fire off the Wild Hunt. You have a lot of funny interactions because obviously the Wild Hunt is sometimes associated with, there's that call to Francis Drake and the Witchcraft Rite, the Storm King, etc. The Wild Hunt is supposed to appear in Stormy Nights. In some versions, the Wild Hunt is led by King Arthur, or King Arthur's ghost, which is how we get Lancer Alter involved in this. It's a very broad mythology that you could have a lot of interesting things going on with. And, like I said, Tam Lin is literally associated with it. That's basically the parade. He is in a parade on Halloween night of fairy nights and is like, yo, girlfriend, baby mama, you have to pull me off my horse so I don't get sent to hell. And, that is my notes on Tam Lin. As you guys know, I have a weakness for fairy stories, and I've had this one for a long time, and I'm kind of glad that he finally won out. and I could talk about this, because there's a lot of fun things going on here. And obviously, like I said, I wrote this, I think, a couple of years ago. Point was my first draft of this. So this was obviously, like I said, after Case Files shed a little bit of light on some certain fairy interactions, stuff like the fairy eyes and the black dog. But this was before Morgan Le Fay's literal fairy knights, right?
Right.
So there are possibly even more interesting interpretations and fairy mythology we could tie this to and keep expanding from. So there's a lot of fun stuff here. And it wasn't a Noble Phantasm, but I say he is a Lancer because, one, we could always use more cool Lancers. And I imagine as a fairy knight, he's wielding probably a cool spear of ebony etched by fairy letters, because, fairy letters are a whole thing. And that's what I got. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And it was legible to you, because I was speaking at a normal speaking volume and not rushing to finish.
Yeah.
So let me see. What few things do I got? I got a couple of ideas. Let me check my actual. I need to double check my actual history of what is one polls to make sure I don't accidentally go over anything. But obviously, we are coming up at the end of a month. November will be over soon, so that means new month, new Patreon stuff. Like we said, we will not be doing the Awazaki Sisters entry this week, because it would have required me to write a lot of my notes and run down all my little plot threads, and just didn't have time. There's a lot of stuff to do right now for this. So we will be bringing that up next week. You can assume that, like I said, while again, I don't know exactly where it'll be, because I am straight up, we are not, I at least will not be available to record the last week in December. New Year's weekend, basically. So I don't know when we'll get to the Melty Blood and Sion question exactly, but that is what we will cover next after the Awazaki Sisters. So let's load up some history and see what kind of stuff is going. Really pretty early. In fact, that is my first one. Okay, so Red Baron, that was fun. Hana, Psyche, Callisto. You guys do like your Greeks. I think I've used up a lot of my Greek stuff, but I could throw in a couple in there. Celebrate Atlantis. Celebrate Black Knights. John Henry. Yep, from Hilt. Ada Lovelace. And then Helen. Okay, so it'll probably be. I'll probably try and pick a couple of my my Grecian ideas that I've got in the back, and also maybe some more fun winter things can come back as well. I've got a few of those. But as I like the Greek myths, there is a variety of them to go around. And like I said, I've got some notes. I'll have to probably. I don't know. I've got to do like 3 wanteds in the next month-ish. One of which basically the start of next week, because the event's going to start right away. So I don't know if I can say it will be before next year, but definitely I think early next year I've got to take my plans and jot down even more fun profiles of things for people to look at. But we'll probably do, like I said, a Greek theme split with a New Year's or winter theme, because I've got a few things we can work with there. And obviously, if you want to get in on these action and pick your Fanservant Friday idea to hear more about mythology, and just occasionally I do get to do fun, fun theory crafting and world building, welding with Fate, because there's a lot of weird ideas out there. Like, for instance, the fact that I was able to cross-reference that Paracelsus' profile notes that Philosopher's Stones are photonic crystals, and therefore that's a type of immortality, and then I was like, oh, wait, so Kaguya has the immortality, Kaguya-hime has the immortality pills, and she's from the moon. Photonic crystal, moon cell. I can do something funny here. So there's many fun ideas we get to have. So if you want to vote on those polls, that's our 5 and up level on Patreon. It gets you access to topic polls, early video releases, and obviously the lower level of our $1 reward, you get access to audio releases and our special patron chat. At higher levels, you can get shout-outs on air. You can listen to this show get recorded live, like so many of our lovely patrons in chat right now, hanging out, listening to us. And so there is much stuff here.
Much stuff.
And obviously, I also do usually like to shill a little bit for Patreon as the month comes to a close, because, it's a new month. I will say, I am not a scumbag. I will encourage you to, if you're thinking, because we have, the charge directly when you sign up, so that people can't scam us as they have done in the past. Been a long time, but that's why we switched. Some people would sign up for like big boy budget rewards and then cancel or lower their pledge before the month actually rolled around. It's a little scummy, guys. But because you get charged right away and then it renews at the start of the month anyway, I actually encourage you, unless you really want to send me like $2 all at once instead of $1, if you're doing a low-level patron back, wait until the new month rolls around, but I highly encourage you to consider getting in on this action supporting us on Patreon and all that fun stuff. And do remember, we offer annual memberships, so you can lock in a whole 12 months of the year for just over $10. And just get your basic bitch patron benefits. And, get all that stuff covered. We're not really doing any, Black Friday deals or anything. We have a merch store, but that's not super popular, and we kind of don't rep it a lot. The merch is cool. We appreciate if you do buy it, but I think we're in a little bit of a transitional period of merch. We would really like to take some time and refresh that, but we're not yet ready to commit to that refreshment.
Yes.
Because that takes a lot of effort. I have seen some people put some serious work into their merch stuff. It requires a little bit of energy that we don't got right now, as we're juggling various things. But we are working to improve it, so we don't need any specials or anything. You guys, I've done coupon specials in the past, and nobody really bit, so we'll just skip it this year. I don't think Patreon really goes for temporary stuff, and like I said, I wouldn't want to give you even if I could set up a 1 month, Cyber Monday deal. It literally Patreon would charge you again for the next month, in 3 daes anyway, and that's always felt a little scummy to me. I try to let you guys make informed financial decisions to support me, not, just be like, money. That's a great sound wave when we say that. But yeah, so there's your Patreon notes. Let's see. We're basically at the end of the show. Lucky, do you have any general conversation topics to bring up?
No, not on my end, no.
Okay. So, let's see. Well, then, like I said, I think we've recapped generally what we're planning on doing next week. Expect first impressions, the Teach Me segment, and more. Any more news that comes out of JP, for instance. When are we actually recording? What day is it? I think it's the 3rd. Yeah, so JP may or may not announce what comes next, but we'll probably not have started anything new. Like I said, the banners and stuff for Guda go until, the 6th. So, we will still probably have a very nice show, because we're going to have a very meaty Teach Me. And obviously our first impressions of the brand new story that people are going to be super hyped for. So that'll also be a decently sized show. Check it out. Very popular, very clickable. Please click it. If you want to click more of our stuff, make sure to check out our regular weekly podcast about anything. What's up? We do that every week. Live stream for, 3 or 2 or 4 or 10. No, we've never actually done a 10-hour episode. But we ramble a lot in What's Up. Lucky has an amazing power when he wants to get some Final Fantasy grinding done, is he just pokes me and sets me up for half an hour to an hour and just kind of sits there and goes, yeah, mm-hmm.
I've been doing that ever since you started the pre-game.
Yeah. No, I figured. But in What's Up, it's an art, because then you're the video component, so you can just be like, okay, I want to do this thing. Hey, Omega, talk for an hour. And I'm like, okay, I talk. So much so that when you want to take focus topics, sometimes you have to be like, wait, hold on, I got to find a safe spot to park it. But that live stream does come with, like I said, video components. We like to show off gameplay. Lucky's been working on his stream setup, so we got a lot of switching going on, a lot of fun stuff there. Can show you some showcase things. And it's a really great time, and you should watch that if you just need more 3 hours of us. And, hey, there's a new story chapter coming up. You may need some hours of us to kill some time while you do some stuff.
Yeah.
Work through that story. Or work through those free quests, new free quests, new sync ports. Yeah, I suspect this show is going to be a little bigger. I also remind people, we do other stuff throughout the week. If you haven't watched our other non-FGO content, obviously, like I said, I'm going to work on FGO Wanted, which will be a in-depth servant profile for Super Orion. That should come out in the middle of next week. We have a wide variety of other stuff, podcast streams, etc. We stream every Monday, for instance, for usually 3-ish hours, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on the game. Currently, we have just started me, Omega, playing God of War, the new one, 2018 version. And so we've got about 3 hours of that out for you. We'll be resuming that, obviously, on Monday. And you can go ahead and check out the original stream if you haven't already. And in general, if you are looking for content to kill while you're, grinding weird master missions in FGO or New Story or whatever, check out our live streams as well. Those don't always get the view circulation they should. And they are just full of us talking and filling time and occasionally going, wow!
Ah! Yes.
So, check out the content. And, you guys could raise our cut of YouTube this month, but despite the fact that, like I said, for the past couple of weeks, some of our Let's Talk FGOs have not been popping as well in the search terms or whatever, I don't know. Remember, like the video and stuff, so YouTube knows you like it. I don't claim to understand how the algorithm works, but it is important for you guys to engage, otherwise YouTube will think you don't like something or will try and keep showing it to you. The amount of times I have to tell YouTube not to recommend a video that I've already watched all of. Oh boy.
People still keep getting the fucking hot spring fucking power hour, and it's killing me.
Yes, please give those 50 views that gets every 30 days to What's Up. Please help me out. If you've somehow found us through that link, please watch our other content. We're begging you. But no, apparently ad rev has still been very solid. You guys have been watching your hours, of those of you who do watch. So we're gonna get paid by Google for November. We're at like $99 and something cents, so we'll cross that $100 mark. And we've still got a few videos left in a few days, so we'll see how the ad revenue shakes out. But as always, if you don't want to just make us count on ad revenue and working on making our content all about that search engine optimization and whatever, that algorithm, that's why we offer support via Patreon. You can also support us directly via Super Thanks and Super Chat on YouTube. Sorry, Audacity freaked out for a second. I was like, oh, no, we're fine. Just a little bit of lag. And Patreon and memberships, of course. New month, new show. I'm not like going through like a horrible crunch on money or anything. I just like to remind you ways you can support us. I do know that some people went for the annual infusion right at the start of the year. So if you want to do that, consider that too. I'll probably remind people about that as we get closer to January. But in general, as usual, we what we really like to shill is our Monday streams and our What's Up, because while those are live streamed, those are much similar to our FGO content. Do you like it when we get on the weeds and mailbag? That's just What's Up. What's Up is all weeds. Weeds for days.
Not that that's the most compelling argument.
If you like that we go in the weeds, that's what it's about. Like, it's just discussion points about stuff we thought of during the week, and then sometimes stuff we thought of 5 minutes ago. So it's just full of a good time, drop in when it's live, catch the VODs. I know sometimes the long timestamps can be intimidating, but it's fine. Listen as much as you like, but do check it out. See for yourself if it's any good. And we have a smattering of other stuff that comes out there, but you should check that out. If you don't know what Wanted is like, no, we're not doing the Teach Me. I literally said we're not doing that. I didn't have time this afternoon to write the notes.
Yeah, what's the time clock right now?
The mission clock on this episode is 3 hours and 3 minutes.
Yeah, no, we fine.
Yeah, the episode is fine. We're doing okay. We covered all the bits and more. And it's the end of the month, so I'm doing a little bit of the extra dovetail. But if you're still here, we appreciate you for listening to however long the final product of this is. And encourage you to find more stuff to listen to. You can probably go back and find other episodes of Let's Talk FGO if you haven't already. Like I said earlier, if you somehow if this episode and the Lostbelt 5-ness pops better, and maybe you catch an episode and you haven't gone back and watched some of our episodes over the last couple of weeks, consider that. If you don't know what's up with this Guda thing and why there's a new Ryoma, we got some videos on that. It's all good. I also want to, as usual, remind everybody, hey, I know we do the money thing, but that's because that's an actual human psychology thing, where if you don't tell people specifically to do stuff, they don't do it. This is like the bystander problem, right?
Right.
If you shout out somebody, call an ambulance, nothing happens. But if you point to a person and say, you call an ambulance, that person will probably do it because they don't want to look like a mook. But you don't have to give us money to support us. We just appreciate you tuning in for, 3-ish hours and watching our stuff. And occasionally, YouTube will feed you an ad. Or if you have YouTube Premium, they just peel off a little bit of that money. They just shave off that nickel or two and pass it to us. I've been seeing YouTube, by the way, shilling YouTube Premium a lot in their own internal ads, which seems a little masturbatory to me, but whatever. Hey, Wales, do you think there's an ad coming up? Guess what? If you have YouTube Premium, there's no ads. This is a literal ad that YouTube does. I've only misquoted it slightly. But yeah, you can support us just by watching, and we appreciate that too. But I think now that we've... Oh, actually, I didn't even think of it till just now, but this is kind of thematic. This is an episode around Thanksgiving, We are thankful for you guys, the audience, for putting up with us and watching our content for, 4 years or whatever. So,
I can't imagine it.
Yeah. It's cool. We appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys. For those of you, whether you've been here all 4 years of Let's Talk FGO and Plus and more of other stuff, or if you literally just found us this week, thanks for listening. We appreciate you. But with that great moment of thanks, we should probably do the outro. Some people at home have probably fallen asleep already. They've gone back to their food comas. Food coma.
I think of Tacoma, where I live. Unfortunately, that's not really any sort of coma word. But that's it. Actually, did you shill the sprawl at all? Shill the sprawl a little bit. Listen to the sprawl.
Yeah, we do actual plays as well. We play tabletop games. Some of you may know what that is because, boy, Fate is really, really ripped from some tabletop stuff that Nasu has played. And while our episodes of The Sprawl, a cyberpunk RPG, have been doing pretty well, they've been doing better than our usual AP results. They're still not super viewed. Go ahead and check them out if you haven't. It's another great way to kill a few hours. Like I said, I know the 5-hour tag on that last episode can be intimidating, but that's 5 good hours. They're good hours, okay? We do good work. And that's not just me and Lucky, that's a whole bevy of our friends and community members. God damn, well now you've given Robin an idea. That's what he's gonna call this in the fucking time. Somebody called out Let's Talk Fate Shill Order, and I'm like, well, god damn it, now Robin's gonna steal that joke. Mm-hmm. Assuming he hadn't already written something similar. Robin, by the way, patron and community member, does time codes. We're thankful for him, too. For now. Doing time codes. Y'all should be thankful for as well, because he does that for free. He technically pays us money to do it. But it's because he's such a great all-around guy, and because Lucky and I are way too busy to do time codes right away. It's why we don't do, like, tighter video editing, because we don't have the energy or the power to do it right away after recording the show. Because it is, like, 11:15 at night, guys, which is why we're going to do the outro. The outro goes a little something like this. If you're watching this video on YouTube, be sure to give it a like if you like it. If you have any comments, leave in the comment section down below. I will call you out. Lucky did not call you out, but I will call you out. You were deliberately told to shout Lucky's praises in the comments of last episode, and you did not. I remember. I have seen your failures. So you better start leaving those comments, or I'm going to find you. I'm going to find you like the Wild Hunt. You hear a thunder of hooves and blowing of horns. It's me. I'm going to make you leave a comment. So leave your comment now and be safe. You can also join our community Discord. That link is in the video description and on our channel page as always. Hang out with people, talk about FGO, share your bingo card for GSSR, see way too many Padoru gifts. Lots of other fun times. It's great here.
Yeah, we're drowning under those a little bit.
So, check that out. If you are new here and haven't already, please subscribeth to the channel so you can get all of our episodes of Let's Talk FGO, future other videos like Wanted, What's Up, streams, whatever. Sub, it's good. You do the content in the sub box. And, of course, even if you are already subscribed, considering that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video. It's very helpful if you want to catch Wanteds when they are posted in the middle of maintenance. And remember, everybody swears Wanted is a good catalyst. Watch Wanted if you want to get Super Orion. Now I have to force myself to get it out on time so I can make that promise work. Sorry. A little burpee at the end of the show. I've been drinking a lot of water. Keeps my voice fresh. Remember, hydrate or dihydrate. Yeah, I've already done... I won't go into the whole rigmarole. Usually this is where I do, like, the little insert about channel memberships, Patreon, etc. I talked about that for, like, 10 minutes, so I won't go over it so much. Just remember, you can support us on Patreon for the episode in audio format. Those are posted early as soon as I finish recording and editing the audio. They are posted up there. And you can join our channel membership for access to membership badges and emotes and support us. And that's all. And I think this is Let's Talk FGO for recorded on Black Friday. We hope you didn't die.
We hope. See you next time, everybody.